ready to rock here, guys. Good It's just after 7 o'clock this evening. We'll go ahead and open the meeting this evening with the owner's comment period. If there is any owner that would like to speak. Yes, sir.
Vaughn Roberts, 1116 Rush Street. I don't know if this has been proposed before, but I was trying to think of something for the kids in town. I know not all the kids play sports, and I was trying to think of something for them to do as well. All the kids. But instead of sports, in addition to sports, I was thinking maybe a way to teach them about business. And by doing that, maybe set up maybe once a year, twice a year, some kind of a kids flea market where the kids could, no adults as far as selling household goods, but just have kids out there that can bring stuff from their closets, video games and that, and maybe set up, and we could set it up somewhere, possibly, you know, like down where we have the farmers market, or over here where we do the garage sale tables, something like that, and just allow the kids to maybe either for free or teach them how to rent a space for $1 or something to set up their own table, and just allow the kids to bring their items from their homes and either buy from someone else, sell something they have, or trade with somebody. I think it might be a way that they can, let me get my notes back, a way for them to learn to manage money. Maybe something to that effect, in addition to the garage sale where they have to travel all over the villages, you know, if they want to look for, you know, toys and that type of thing. Maybe just do it there in one certain spot, maybe once or twice a year. I just want to put it out there, and, you know, for thought. And
Thank you, Vaughn. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I remember doing this when I was a little kid. We ran a snack bar, which was, looking back on it, a joke now, but it was fun because you know, we were responsible for trying to figure out how to make change and all that sort of stuff. And
maybe learn how to save money and
Absolutely.
And make money and learn how to manage it in some way. Yeah. Maybe set up their own little, like you were saying, you could even come over and set up your own little drink stand.
There you go.
We have room downtown.
So, that's right. There's some.
But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up just as something maybe down the road we could think about.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else this evening for owner's comment period? Okay. Stand by. Apparently, I'm supposed to dial into a conference call number.
I forget my glasses here.
You should be able to just call her directly if she's the only one on the...
I think the Indian gave it to me.
But she says she's on hold on the conference line.
Same library.
We could dial out. We could dial her cell phone number.
Indians.
We could tell her to hang up. Can we do that?
I know the conference is
forgot the
spotty
glasses.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Can you?
Yeah, I'll tell her to hang up.
Can you tell her to hang up and I'll just call her? That works.
Now I can see it.
Sent.
Sent. Thank you. All right.
What's that?
And
I didn't turn my phone off. Let's see what she's doing.
Hello?
hey, Vanessa, it's Eric and everyone else here.
She's watching TV.
Hello, hello.
Perfect. So we just finished owner's comment period. Mr. Vaughn Roberts stood up and spoke in regards to having a possible event where we could have children in the community maybe hold like a mini tag sale or a mini market in the area to help them teach some business skills, some basic math skills, as well as to give them maybe something a little bit different in the community to do other than sports and recreation, that maybe we could hold either on an annual or 2 times a year kind of basis. So Steve and Susan took some notes on that, and then we'll forward it along to the Parks and Rec team for review. And that's as far as we've got. Is there anyone else for owner's comment period this evening? All right, perfect. I'd like to verify that the meeting was properly noticed,
It was.
and we have a quorum, and it is Ms. Vanessa Winter who's on the phone here, and so I'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:08 PM. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion?
And second, and any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is approval of the minutes. I'll take these as separate ones. The October 19th, 2015 Board of Directors Workshop. Do I have a motion for that one?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the October 27th, 2015 Board of Directors meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All right, and discussion?
Before you guys vote, we
Yep.
did modify that, and it's just under board discussion items. We modified the first one.
Gotcha.
So you have that
Yeah, I
copy.
saw that one in this thing.
Sort of modify.
So I think that we might need a motion to
Modify?
adopt it with the changes.
With the changes.
So move.
All right, so Lee, you made the motion. Congrats. And Dave seconded. Any further discussion? All right. You okay? All right, perfect. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. ARC? Nada. Covenants? Oh, I'm disappointed. Parks and Recreation? Go for it, come on!
You can do the ARC and the covenants now, too. I'll be quick.
As you all know, Founders Day this past weekend, successful weekend, we thought. Started off Friday night with our downtown concert on Market Street with Gallup and Zaza, both very well received. Saturday morning we had what was one of our largest Veterans Day parades in terms of participation, and followed by our veteran ceremony at Founders Park and the changing of the flag, and wrap things up on Saturday with the town photo and picnic at Lakeside. Our November food truck is actually this coming Friday, pushed back a week because of Founders Day. X Factor, one of our program partners, will be performing, and we have Orlando Event Pros on hand for music as well. And our December food truck will be December 11th, and the Celebration High School Jazz Band is going to also be performing at that. Holiday Fest for our residents is December 5th, 2 to 6 here at Town Hall. We have Florida snow coming in, some ornament decorating, Christmas decorating, pictures with Santa, and we're also going to be showing a movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And December 10th is our home decorating contest in town. Applications are available at the front desk and online.
Perfect. And JR, I just had a question in regards to Founders Day. I know I had heard some rumblings from people that they were concerned that IDs weren't being checked for the food from Four Rivers. I know that I ate a little late, and there was still plenty of food for me, but I didn't know if we had an issue at all or feedback from them about that.
We didn't stop serving a little earlier than we had planned. We actually ordered more food than last year, and I mean, I don't know if it was just attendance or, but we probably stopped serving about 40 minutes or so prior to what we expected. But
Sure. I know I was one of the stragglers there.
How was attendance compared to last year?
I wasn't here, but from what I've told from people who were here last year, was much higher.
Okay. I was out of town too.
I think there was a
Full
higher
tables.
turnout for the parade. Market Street had quite a few people lined up and down. The parade was longer this year. And then, as JR mentioned, the food ran out last year. We had leftover food. So gauging it by that, we definitely had a higher attendance and turnout this
Cookies
year.
were gone.
Yeah.
Cookies went first.
Cookies
I
went
think
first.
people ate their dessert before their lunch.
Well, it's because the strategic
kids.
placement of the cookies in the line as you're waiting for the food. That was, you could kind of eat as you were moving.
You could have known it was gone.
Bunch
Yeah.
of kids glom
Joe
on the
Magic
cookies.
was there again this year, and it just provides entertainment and fun. And it's a great family event. Everyone
I had
involved did a
great
wonderful job.
I was going to wait for management report, but I guess maybe this is an opportunity to talk about this about the event. First of all, thanks for everybody involved in the event. Staff always pulls out the stops for that, so it's great. I do think so. For next year is a big event for us, Founders Day. So I think that we need to talk about kind of a plan in place to kind of figure out what we're going to do, get resident involvement, and kind of plan next year's 20 next year. 20. Right, 20 next year. So I think that's going to be big. I think we should make it big and try to figure out how to make it big and kind of think about that.
Yeah, lobster.
Sure.
Lobster.
Yeah, clams.
It's
Have
still
a clam
season.
bake.
Anyway.
Lobster.
But I think that in terms of 20th, I think we have to plan ahead of time and
Right.
kind of work with the community and kind of figure out maybe we can do something big about that. Also, I think we should probably look at trying to set a Guinness World Record, trying to do something to get us in the press. Because again, back to my thinking, I think we should be shooting for during these events, trying to figure out how we can kind of get great press out of it. We have a lot that we've done over the years that I think that we should try to tout to the community at large and press and kind of what we've done. So I think that's just something to consider for the upcoming. The other thing is that no matter how much we always say we kind of advertise this kind of stuff, I've run into a lot of people in town that had no clue what was going on, which is really
Sad.
yeah. And I would say
So much, yeah.
and I would say that certainly with the newspaper we kind of but I think an event like this, I could literally see something like a hand schedule going home to each resident that literally has spells it out that we're doing something special, especially the 20th anniversary coming up. So I think that's something to consider because I spoke to a lot of them, mostly new residents actually, by the way, that didn't know about Founders Day and that kind of stuff. Really had no idea. And then also somebody who sports group, soccer and baseball were also going on, and I think we just need to coordinate probably with the sports groups a little bit because and we had to work on, and one of the reasons why is we had to finish before seating and stuff like that. So I think that if we're trying to work on the 20th anniversary for next season, it's trying to figure out how we can work together to try to make it successful and that kind of stuff. And then the last thing, is kind of quantifying how many people are at these events as opposed to we're not 100% sure, because certainly you could tell on an event like this, a catered event, you can always tell by how many plates are taken and that kind of stuff. So I think that there are ways how caterers figure out how many people are.
Four
plates.
Rivers estimated about 800.
Yeah, so I think that that's something that we should. There you go. There's your numbers. I don't know what it was last year, but we should know those things, and that's a good way to kind of quantify. The other thing is making sure that it's only residents only. I don't know how we do that, but I think we should probably make sure it is because when you have an event and there's so many people downtown,
Right.
you don't know, and it would be good to know that. And I think that gets back to our whole technology. Whether we have ID cards, and then if not ID cards, maybe it's handheld. Where you can confirm somebody or something like that. But something to think about for the 20th anniversary. I mean, so anyway, those are my thoughts. But anyway, but on the good part, I heard great things, and the staff was awesome like usual. And, I mean, yeah, some great stuff.
I heard great things too. I missed my first Founders Day, but I wanted to ask because I know the World Food Championship has been renewed for a second year, and I just wanted to make sure our date was secure for
The
20th. Do you have a date
weekend
yet?
of the 11th, 12th, and 13th.
I'm sorry?
Weekend of the November 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Which is the original.
It corresponds with this year's dates.
We haven't moved anything. That's the dates, the way they were planned out for 2016.
Okay. What year is it supposed to be? What month is it? It's supposed to be the first? Is that the right weekend? Okay.
Actually, it's supposed to be the right weekend. We moved it to the second weekend because it used to be that, I'm going to get my football teams mixed up. It's the Indians versus the Gators or the Seminoles.
Seminoles. against the
Seminoles.
Gators,
Because for the
FSU?
first 2 years that I was here, Founders Day, we couldn't get an event on the street. They would only go to the bars except from the TV. So we moved our game, and then we used to check the annual calendar of the game schedule, and that's to know the Founders Day. But the first Founders Day, I believe, was on the 18th of November.
Actually, it was the 15th of November of '96.
Thank you.
I closed on my house that day, that's why I'm not there.
Yeah, I know
That's
it's
a Friday
around.
night, or Friday night is the first.
So now we're closer to it, because somehow or other we managed to jump that week again, so we're into like.
They moved the football game back.
They did, because now it's Thanksgiving.
I learned
Yeah.
very quickly to understand college football.
It's Saturday, the Thanksgiving weekend.
It's supposed to be the first weekend.
And the school celebrates the school's birthday that
But-
week
Oh,
also.
really?
My question,
On Thursday, they did.
my question is, it usually is that first weekend, right?
No, never.
We just moved it for food truck. We were going to have it,
No,
The
we
first
moved food
weekend.
truck to the third week.
no, not food truck, I'm sorry, World Food Champions, we moved Founders Day because of World Food Championship.
The dates were
So
seven.
the first weekend was going to be Founders and the second World Food, but World Food wanted the first weekend, so we took the second. So don't we need to go back to the first weekend?
No, this is the week of Veterans Day, so Veterans Day falls on Wednesday, and then our festivities are Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
Actually, Veterans Day will be Friday next year.
Yeah, Veterans Day
So
on
then
Friday.
Veterans Day will be the
So we're doing
Friday of the weekend that we're
a full week
celebrating.
next year, right?
Well, we're still a full
For the
week.
budget, because we increased the budget so much, are we doing a full week or no?
I mean, we're still planning activities for next year right now.
We're actually looking at 20th anniversary activities throughout the year for next year.
Okay.
Kind of branding them as
Okay.
20th anniversary.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. There's another committee to report, Steve.
Communications,
Communications, that's right.
not on the agenda.
So if everyone's comfortable with me reporting, even though it's not on the agenda, we'll be okay? All right. So as folks know, there was a survey that went out to the community in regards to the discussion forums that we have, which are the resident-only forums that we have. It was the intention of the committee to try to find out, because we had received feedback from residents, that they were moving away from the discussion forums. The forums were clunky, they couldn't be used, and they wanted to say, well, could something like Facebook or Nextdoor or something be a replacement to that? It'd be a replacement to that. So we did get some very lively comments back from a lot of residents in regards to it. Just so that everyone's aware, 88.8% of everyone that responded to the survey stated that they were aware of the discussion forums. And
So we will do that. Is there anything else?
We don't use it.
Oh, John's, I'm in CROA, John's at CDD.
Yeah? What are we talking?
John's at CROA.
You stop?
so
No, the heck with that.
So continuing on, we had the 77.8% of folks reported back that they felt that Facebook and Nextdoor did not serve as a replacement to the legacy discussion forums, and overwhelmingly 77.6% of folks stated that they wanted to retain the existing discussion forums. The next closest one for that one was 17.1% of respondents stated they wanted to retire the discussion forums, but create a wiki or FAQ page where residents could submit questions to officials.
Right there.
Good, I thought I was having a stroke. So
Seeing the light.
basically what it boils down to is that residents do feel that it's a valuable tool. It's something that the Communications Committee is going to take into account as we move forward for the website redevelopment project. However, understanding that one of the other pieces of feedback was making it a little bit more user-friendly for residents as far as uploading images and reporting posts, as well as taking concerns from management when it comes to actually monitoring the forums and trying to respond in a timely manner and how that works. So we have a couple of ideas, and we hope to be able to bring back some stuff back to the board for review.
I do have a comment.
Go for it, Lee.
Yeah, so I think the sooner we do something, the better. I think the forums, I mean, I agree. The forums serve a purpose. The forums are difficult to do the things that we do. So one of my issues I have is this celebration back porch that we don't control. I'm not saying we have to control everything, but the fact is Facebook is where almost everybody lives. They get their information. I'm not saying, our forums don't have a place, but the fact is if we don't start a discussion forum, we're going to lose the spot. Somebody else is doing it. So what happens is some people fill a vacuum. things fill a vacuum. So the back porch is filling a vacuum. It's a place for people to go because they can hit their Facebook. It goes to Facebook. It updates. People are updating their Facebook statuses. They're looking at it. They're getting news feeds, and I think we're losing out. So I think we need to figure out very quickly how to integrate with Facebook or start our own non-moderated Facebook page, just like it's going there, so at least somebody else isn't running a discussion forum for us. Because the only way is, I think, the only thing we should allow is just tokens, so at least we can have residents only have that discussion. If anybody looks at it, and again, I'm not faulting anything for the back porch. The fact is, it's very useful for people. The school board discussions, I can tell a lot of people got their information, because for me to check my phone and to get push technology every time there's something about the school, it helped me, as opposed to having to log in to something which, by the way, does not work mobile on my phone. It's horrendous. So either we should give up because we've done a crappy job of maintaining the front porch and mobile technology and everything else, because we're losing out. So we really need to put some emphasis on it, I think, because either that or just turn it off, in a way. Then again, I'm not suggesting that. I'm only kind of saying it because we're going to be starting, another month from now, 3 months from now. I think it's just going to grow even more off of the front porch, and then we're only going to have for sale and other stuff on there at some point. Facebook doesn't do a great job of managing the communications in terms of the different cornerstones and those, everything that we have on there. But I really do think that we have to put, like how we put in seller services, like we put into our recreational, I really think it's something that we have to put an emphasis on. And I don't know if the board has to put money towards it or whatever we need to do, but I think the writing's on the wall if we don't do something on it. It's where somebody who owns that Facebook page is going to be really handling our communications and has the ability to stop people from posting or do something else, and it's not going to be us that's going to be doing it. Anyway, and I know you've used it. Yep. And I'm using it, I'm looking at it more, and that's probably not the right way to go.
Right, and I think one of the challenges as a board member, the reason you find folks from the board posting on it, and it was funny, one of the comments that we got back from the survey is it said board members should not be posting on the back porch. But quite frankly, one of the concerns is that there's misinformation out there. There's sometimes where things might get a little confusing with the giant game of telephone. So it's a double-edged sword on still maintaining our own internal social network. There's a management issue with that, on being able to put forward resources, both from a technology side and from a staff side, to be able to do that. And to Lee's point, making sure the technology is as easy to use as Facebook to be able to do that. So whether it's push notifications, whether it's being able to subscribe to posts, get alerts for different forums, as well as being able to earn the term, I don't want to get too deep into this, but one of the terms is gamification of the actual environment. So being able to vote and give representation to certain people, make it more interactive. I know it's stupid, but if anyone else uses Swarm or checks in on Foursquare and stuff like that, guess what? I'm the mayor of Artisan Park. That's pretty darn cool.
You're probably the only one still using it.
And I'm the only one that's still no, we have a member of the audience that's still checking in. I know he still checks in.
Really?
But so, and there's 4 people that checked into the new Five Guys that's open. So
on Foursquare.
So on Foursquare, yeah.
I thought that was dead.
So there's definitely the ability to make it a little bit more fun. As I always like to tell people when they say, "God, our forums seem like they're old and outdated," I like to tell people they are. If you look at the copyright date at the bottom of the technology for that, it's 2007, and we haven't moved it since. Nothing's been done to change it, and there's a lot of reasons why. But I think to Lee's point, we're losing the conversation, and we want to make sure that we're still able to have it. Of note, though, there was some feedback as well from folks that said, please do not get rid of the forums because I'm not invited to attend on some of the social networks. And they said, I am a resident in the community. And it's a little hard to manage that conversation sometimes when it's like, we can't do anything about it.
That's what
So.
I'm trying to, if we move to a Facebook type environment, trying to figure out who is a resident, who's not a resident, what gets them in, what doesn't get them in.
Sure.
But I think, we had, at one point, we had celebration.fl.us email addresses, and we realized that we're not in that business.
Right.
We can't do better than somebody else doing that business. And I'm not saying we somehow hand this over to Facebook because it probably doesn't have what we're looking for. It doesn't have a hierarchical, really subject headings that we want and that kind of stuff. But you could certainly create something that actually you can comment via Facebook or could be pushed to Facebook because you might be able to look at Facebook and you're getting those comments and that kind of
We already have the
stuff.
town hall. There's already sites on Facebook, right? Don't we have the town?
What we have is more of content distribution, though,
Yeah.
to kind of promote things and.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Non-residents
It's
and
not
residents.
discussion, but it's more.
Right.
Yeah,
And I know
using it.
one of the concerns that the Communications Committee had brought up as well is, the problem with moving to and communicating out on Facebook and different things like that, and in any social network for that matter, is we end up having folks that then come back and say, well, can I come to this? And then we find
Right.
out, well, they're not a resident, they live in the area. And sometimes there's some confusion on whether or not Celebration is a town or a municipality that folks can just come to things versus a homeowners association where the homeowners are paying for it. And being able to control some of those communications and bring some of those discussions into a walled garden environment where folks can, have that conversation safely with other folks they know are residents. There's a benefit to that we saw too. But at the same point in time, maintaining a social presence outside also helps market the community, which is important. So, long story short, there's definitely some folks that want to keep this, and we need to figure out maybe a way to do it, and understanding that there might be a cost to doing that as well that we need to evaluate.
Can I ask you this? I think that because you're on the committee, I feel like it will
The
probably
board
go.
liaison to the committee.
Yeah. I think it would go. But I think the thing is that I think it's an important part of our communication, an important part, and one of the things we talked about in our strategic planning, right? We did talk about this. And we created a couple of those things. But my fear is not making it a staff agenda item, basically, and making it more of a committee, which it could be. We could have that same discussion a year from now, and I don't want to have the same because we'll have lost everything,
Sure.
So how do we get to the next step is what I'm kind of inquiring. Could we? Everybody's in the room already. So
I think the plan is, and I'll spring this on JR. There was I shot an email out to the Communications Committee just prior to this meeting with the survey results and different things like that, as well as some ideas for what we could do for a internal social network, as well as a new website revamp. That either we can go down that road, or we can go down the road of identifying a vendor to be able to come in and provide something for us. My goal would be at the next Communications Committee meeting to kind of come up with a recommendation to the board for what we do, so that we can move on this in December. Because what we would love to be able to do is to be able to look at this in January and say, hey, 2016, we're launching out with this new thing. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that pains me all the time is when you're in cell service and you click a notification, it goes to a non-mobile enabled website. Well, guess where I get all of my mobile notifications from cell service? On my darn phone. So then I have to do the whole pinch and zoom thing to read what the alert was. So just making sure that we have that, I think, at the next meeting, we hope to be able to bring something forward to the board for recommendation. So is that fair, JR, you think? Maybe, kind of. I'll push it harder. I'll give you some ideas. So, okay. Any questions for that? We beat the dead horse.
No, the horse is dead already.
Horse is dead. Dave's ready to move on. Financial report with Ms. Kearns.
Okay. Operating cash as of October 31st is $2,451,722. October income came in under budget by $32,000. Income is under budget primarily due to the bad debt adjustment that we do every month and specific assessment write-offs per the attorney instructions. Working capital income was $39,190, which exceeded budget by $12,000. Working capital income year-to-date is $363,448, which also exceeds budget by $85,000. October expenses were $357,893, and they came in under budget at $15,838. The only category that was over budget was administrative expenses, and that was due to the Joint Committee funding, legal and professional expenses, and miscellaneous administrative, which included the no smoking signs as well as the 2016 proposed budget mailing. Collections, as of October 31st, we had accounts receivable of $1,111,217. It's increased because of the application of the fourth quarter assessments to the homeowners' accounts. $521,000 of that is attributable to fines and specific assessments. Reserve fund total assets are $2,989,500. $2,989,556.
I was going to say, we're missing a comma
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah, what a difference a comma can make. Working capital reserve year-to-date is $1,301,983, and we had some reserve expenses this month, which included $3,100. Again, a comma makes a big difference. To McCree Construction for the balance of the conceptual design, $3,080 to Major Mulch for the mulch at Lakeside Playground, and $6,332 to Connolly Pools for the balance of the cover that we purchased for the Lakeside Pool. Questions? Comments?
questions on the financial report? All right, moving to the management report with Mr. Waring.
We will start tonight with our friend, the Comcast agreement that we talk about every month. And we did have some movement this month. We met with Amy this week on Monday to talk about the spirit of the agreement and how that could help the condo associations within Celebration. And we had a conversation with Rick Nelson also a little bit about how the intention for Comcast is to do the build out within the community to where they're not ignoring those 2,500 condo units. So where they could build near those units and still be able to connect and have those associations negotiate their agreements with Comcast directly. Then Eric came as when we sent the original agreement out, there was feedback from Eric and he had some questions. So Amy answered those questions and we went back and forth and got to an agreement on what the right response we're looking for from Comcast. And Amy is actually in San Diego or going out to San Diego, and there's a conference there, and some of the Comcast executives are there. So she has a goal of trying to have a final discussion with them. She has been able to secure some funding from Comcast to help offset the cost of the attorney fees and some of her fees. But we agreement, we're literally on the 1 yard line, and we're trying to punch it into the end zone. So we're working on bringing this back at the December meeting for a vote. And then Amy will be here at that December meeting to present this.
Wasn't there still some questions that Eric asked that weren't answered, I recall? Because I've been following it, because I'm very happy, by the way, Eric has thoroughly gone through it, so I appreciate it. But there were some that she answered originally, and there's some that she still, the second part.
Yeah, and she was able to give those responses at the meeting this week.
Steve, Cliff Akey was asking about having a representative here from Comcast once a month. Is that part of the agreement?
It is not part of the agreement. Comcast isn't willing to provide someone here once a month. They are willing to provide someone once a quarter to come talk about issues, but it's not somebody that's going to be on site where all the residents can come to. It's someone that staff or committee representatives could be part of that meeting to meet with them and discuss concerns.
Jack, one of the things that is when they shot that down, that they said that they didn't want to have, or that they weren't willing to dedicate a resource to be here on site. There was a previous proposal about putting us into what Comcast calls their Center for Excellence program, which is essentially you're treated, the organization as part of the services contract or the marketing agreement contract gets access similar to what a business customer would with a priority customer service line and different things. It's not the same as having someone here, obviously, but it's better than being part of the general pool. And that was one of the things that I know Amy was going to go back to them and say, hey, if you're not going to do this, we need to do this. The fallback even from that further was ensuring that the board, as well as management, had a direct contact with someone at Comcast Support, that if there was an issue that a resident had, and that they, come to town hall and they say, hey, we're having a problem, you guys did something here, what the heck, we can point them in that direction specifically. So that was.
And she's also asking for either a larger per door fee from Comcast or some more additional in-kind services that will allow some Wi-Fi hotspots within the community. So she's going back from that final push.
So we'll find out when she comes back. I think the question about the hotspots, I think, is something that we should be driving a little bit, because we should be driving hotspots at all our facilities, whether it's smart spots or it's Comcast. We probably need to have one central hotspot, and if Comcast agrees to put it everywhere, then that's fine, or Smart City, but Smart City is one in this building, so do we anticipate duplicating it and having Comcast also? So I think we should be kind of driving that for somebody.
We gave them a listing. It's more of the field space that we don't already have spots, so that we can address the security cameras at those parks and field space, and then possibly that hotspot location.
There's a provision in the contract that I know folks following along at home may have heard me reference in regards to connection of wireless access equipment to those courtesy account connections. That was one of my concerns on if we wanted to be able to provide community internet access, would we be able to do that? And Amy had referenced some other projects that she had worked on. Mostly it comes down to a management side of how do you manage access to the network. Is it either a login credential, or is it just open for anyone to use? Obviously, Comcast doesn't want it open for everyone to use because they're paying for the bandwidth there. But Amy was going to go back to them for that. Mostly is more of a, as Steve mentioned, an in-kind of exchange. If they weren't willing to pony up additional funding in the form of a door fee or something like that. So.
But I think still is Comcast most likely in a lot of the locations what they're doing is they're adding hotspots for Comcast customers all over. So if you have Bright House, very often you'll go see Bright House in locations you have to add a hotspot. So my concern is we have Comcast one spot, we have Smart City another spot. So the communities, it just seems a little odd to me.
Yeah, it was. There was.
It was a tough board. It was a tough meeting. My nose is bleeding. Sorry.
I made it pretty clear to them that we couldn't have kind of a two system setup, as well as the same thing on just putting an Xfinity wireless access point everywhere for just Comcast customers was not going to cut it. So Amy has that direction, so hopefully they'll listen.
Yeah, I think the bigger picture is getting the agreement, and these things are something that we probably have to work on as a community, to kind of hammer it out. But I think that getting this done finally will be really good. Having somebody here once a month or once every week is irrelevant to me. Really, it's not like we're making Smart City do the same thing.
Right.
And I mean, they're going to have customer service sitting in some country somewhere anyway.
Sure.
So we might as well realize that. So anyway. Has our money run out with her, or what's our?
We're at the very end of the money, yes.
Okay.
But like I said, we're so close.
She'll come to us and say, okay.
I guess the one thing, and I guess I would look for comment from everyone here. We've been working on this for 2 years now. I am not in favor of extending the same agreement for another 2 years to try to figure out if this works.
I agree with you.
There's been a lot of promises from Comcast's side waiting for us to do the agreement. The holdup has never been on our end. And I'm not really in favor of continuing paying to assist someone else deliver services in the community. Understanding that it helps drive competition and different things, and it's what a lot of the residents had wanted initially. I'm not hearing those complaints as much anymore. So I would caution if management wants to bring back in the future the approval of additional funds, because I would personally question that a lot. Just because I feel that we've dragged this on enough.
I agree with you. Yeah, drag.
I would say that if we're at the 1 yard line and we have a proposal to get to the goal line, I'd like to hear the proposal to get to the goal, and it may be structured differently.
But I think it's reasonable to say that with all of the efforts that Amy has gone through, she should be able to come up with something.
But she may come. I agree. I'm not. I want to figure out. I want to figure how to get. If we're 1 mile. If we're on the 1 yard line, I don't want to end on the 1 yard line.
I agree.
I'd like to see us get in, score a touchdown, goal, whatever sport we're playing here. And figure out how to do that. Because I think the competition, as we grow, as things are going, setup taxes and everything else, I mean, it would be nice to have that. The fact is that Comcast, at the end of the day, is just going to do if it's feasibly, if it's responsible, fiscally responsible for them to actually, I mean, really, they have to overbuild in celebration, and they're just going to do it if it makes sense, and it's not going to make a difference for us, right? I mean, we're not driving it, the homeowners association. It's basically it's math, and if they make financial sense, they'll do it. If not, then we won't have it, and we'll find out pretty soon, I hope.
Well, and that was the game plan. That this is the last month.
That's right.
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely.
Okay. The next item is CROA. In your management reports, you can see I did some screenshots of what the new site's going to look like, and also some screenshots for the functionality of the calendar, which is really nice. You can do filters to look at specific buildings, specific room types, fields. So the only thing we're waiting on now is just some final testing to make sure all the workflow is working properly. So when someone submits a request online, it goes to the right person, et cetera. So we hope to have that done by the end of this week, by Friday, and have this site up and running. And we'll do some promotions for how to use it and get the word out there to the residents.
Is it feasible to be able to maybe do something? I know our food truck events are very well attended. I know we kind of did that when cell service first launched, but also maybe, even if it's not dedicating a staff member there, but dedicating a sign to it. I think that would go a long way.
The next item I want to just share with you for Thriving in Place, the use of the Jones Room. Membership drive has gotten up to 40 members now, and it might have grown over the last day since I've done this report. But the number that's impressive is their volunteer participation is at 69. So they have quite a few members of the community that are volunteering for this program. As you know, the agreement was through the end of December, so we'll be bringing back the extension of the agreement for the same days, Monday through Wednesday, for the same hours, 9 to 2 at the Jones Room for 2016. The dog park update, I met with Mark Pinscontunis and Danny Bumpus first week of November, and the first step for them is to take the conceptual design, the original conceptual design that had the complete piece construction, and do an overlay on the topography map. They use this then to get TCC initial approval. Once we get that, along with that, we'll be walking the property with Jim Parker, just to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. And then Mark and Danny are working with landscape architects so that we can get with the county, make sure we have the buffers and everything that are needed out there. That'll help drive what the proposal looks like for the bids. The next step then is to go through the permitting process with all the agencies that are involved.
Do you mind, would it be possible to walk through that when you reach that point, if I'm in town?
You want to go and walk it? Oh, absolutely. Mark just sent me a timeline today. I haven't had a chance to look at it all the way yet. I want to sit down with them and talk to them about it, but hopefully I'll have that complete timeline for permitting through construction for the dog park by next meeting.
Anything from the golf course?
I'm sorry?
Golf course.
I have not heard anything back from the golf course, no. And last time I reached out to John, he said that he would let us know if they were interested in moving on it. So we haven't heard anything new since.
Are they back in town yet, or are they still flying to Earth?
I don't know, I haven't heard anything else.
I had a question about the World Food Championship. So, was there any discussion about that in the, I guess we had there was a Sonoma meeting, CJC meeting also. Was there any discussion about that at all?
No, we didn't talk about it.
Because I'm wondering, the reason why is because I'm wondering who gauges the success of that kind of event?
Right.
Because it takes up land that is non-res land, not just Lexington, right? So I'm wondering if Lexington can choose any event that they want and have it and use Sonoma land, or is that somehow, at the end of the day is, I'd like to know what is the benchmark for success for that event for signing a second year and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Did we have impressions, media impressions? Was it great for celebration? Did we drive resident interest? I mean, what is the measurement for success for an event here in town? It should be a couple different criteria, right? It was great for the residents. It was great for media coverage. You know what I mean? It should be simple metrics.
I think most of the metrics are done based on heads and beds and what the return is for the grants that they receive from Experience Kissimmee.
Are you telling me what it is or what it should be? Because it sounds contrary.
That is that was the goal, was
Right.
Experience Kissimmee.
We got banners
No, but
that
we're
say
not
celebration
But
instead
I
of
mean,
Kissimmee up
that's-
front.
Yeah, no, that's for funding,
we got that,
right?
yeah.
But they could have. But at the end of the
Someone pointed
day,
out when there's a.
they could have held this anywhere in the world, right? And it really, tell you the truth, is it an event to where the participants are the ones that are driving the beds, the heads on beds, and then because that could be in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it could be at Osceola County Fairgrounds, it could be the rodeo, that kind of stuff. It could be in Vegas, it could be anywhere. But how does it help celebration is what I'm kind of wondering. And the metrics, because it's not just on Lexington property, which means that other people are involved and should be involved.
Right.
And if it doesn't help the community as a whole, then we should figure out what the events we want here. And I'm not saying it isn't. What I'm saying is I haven't heard any kind of report saying this is why it was great for the community. I mean, I remember coming in here when they came in originally, and they said, if I see it said, World Food Championship, Kissimmee, Florida. I mean, at the end of the day is, if it doesn't help celebration, then we shouldn't be having events here that don't help us.
Can we request
Lee,
a
Well,
recap?
I can certainly ask them.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I mean,
didn't
Lee,
hold anything on CROA property.
Correct, but I think this was more, we have representatives
don't really
from
have any-
CJC, right? So we had a CJC meeting early today. The event doesn't take place only on Lexington property, right? So,
CCD, but I believe it's on the agenda for next meeting, was
yeah.
tonight.
And I am not saying it's not, but my concern is we had we have Halloween, we had the World Food Championship, we had Founders Day. Right, and I'm just concerned that if it's not a home run for the community, then we should try to make sure that we don't have
But Lee, how,
singles or foul balls.
can we have any, I mean, we have no say over what Lexington chooses, do we?
As a homeowner association, we don't have say,
Yeah.
but the point is that there's other entities that do have say.
Right.
Right?
And they have,
I'm just saying this discussion should be had.
I agree.
I mean, at the end of the day is,
agree.
Lexington should be coming and saying, we had this great event, this is why it was great for the community, let's have it next year, hope you support it, blah, blah, blah. That's all.
Lee, to your point, they wanted to use part of our property this
We said
year.
no.
Right.
We said no, but.
Well, actually, we said yes.
That's true, we did say yes.
Well, that's-
And they said no.
I said no.
And with all of the parameters we set up, then they said,
No.
we changed our mind, so.
Listen,
Yes,
when they
but-
came to us, they said they weren't going to say celebration, it was going to be Kissimmee. They said they weren't going to put together resident event stuff. and it's tough, you have to have it the way you want it. And they were giving us $10,000.
Yeah, well, Lee, I go along with your discussion because this will frame what we do next year, whether we allow them to use that property or not.
Yeah, and I didn't mean our property. What I meant is, it's more I'm talking to Steve, the executive director of the Homeowner Association / Celebration Joint Committee that kind of works with all the entities. How do we kind of look at these events and say, should we just accept that all events just happen and we have no choice, or should Celebration Non-Residential Owner Association get involved also and kind of dictate a little bit what happens too? Push back a little bit, or help form a group that kind of evaluates this.
Right.
Because if it's not, it has to be good for the whole entire non-res, let's say. Anyway, I'm just saying that I think that maybe we kind of should reevaluate it a little bit, what happens, and without just accepting
Well, I can
things.
start with talking to Lexon about a recap and seeing what kind of metrics they keep, and we can go from there, and then
Can
start
I
having
just
the conversation.
give a thank you to, they did donate 3 ovens, 3 microwaves, 3 electric blenders, and various other things to the Help Now shelter, so thank them for that donation.
Sure, I think that's a great story to tell.
Well, is it worth tying up the
I'm just
entire
saying
town for the
that-
entire
I'm
week?
just
I mean,
saying
and I'm saying is maybe
Not
we should
tying
talk
the
to them
two together.
about where should porta potties go. You know what I mean? If we're going to do it next year, let's talk about when you're driving down the street, maybe we should put certain things in different places so it's not right off of where residents live, where you see, I think we could do it better, right? But let's try to get in the conversation as opposed to just
You got
hoping
remember,
it's going to happen without us.
those trucks were unloading out in the
Quick
middle of the
clar-
roads.
For quick
The
clarification,
cars could not get by.
A quick clarification. Right
Buses too,
now,
is
the
the thing.
Lexon has signed the additional agreement, correct?
Correct.
I believe
CDD
so.
has not
They have
approved.
first right,
was gonna right.
first right of refusal
Okay.
on the agreement over the next 5 years.
But it hasn't gone forward yet to CDD,
Correct.
but they were voting on it tonight, or it was
No,
just
unless,
discussed?
I don't know if it's on the agenda tonight.
Okay, but it's going to be coming forward to the agenda?
CDD would have to approve.
Yeah, because I know
Okay,
Cliff
I know they
wasn't
talked
happy
about
with the buses
discussing
with
it
the
at
trucks.
the workshop, but I wasn't sure what the status was on. Okay,
You know,
thank you.
and also they had no water to wash their pots and pans. They
But I
had to
think it
bring
would
water
be
in
worth
to wash
seeing
them.
the review that was given
If
to
you talk to the
Experience
people that were cooking-
Kissimmee with the,
Yeah,
because
they
I know
had
you
no
have to
water.
give them the.
They were dying
And
from
also,
the
I
heat
would
'cause
like
there's
to
no
say too,
fans
is that this
over
is
the
almost
oven.
like the whole
And it was hot as hell.
Osceola County School Board issue is Experience Kissimmee has a different role than what we play. You know what I mean? It's they're trying to promote hotel rooms in the county somewhere, and it's called Experience Kissimmee. It doesn't mean that the event can't be held in celebration and promote celebration. You know what I mean? We are a part of it. In fact, their offices are in celebration. I just think that, and maybe if we're going to do it, we can take a 180 and maybe talk about how we can get resident involvement, make it more resident-centric, that kind of stuff, things that probably, it didn't happen, I think.
I
It
think
could have happened.
the bottom line for, I went down to the event, albeit late some of the nights, and I didn't experience some of the issues that some residents reported maybe during the daytime with crowding. Not to say that it wasn't there, but one of the things that I think that did come out of it is we kind of know what the event is now. I mean, that was one of the concerns when we were going into this. It was this big unknown for both us and them. I mean, they were used to producing this in Vegas. They hadn't done it here before, so it was kind of an unknown for all of us. So moving forward, understanding that maybe if we want to reevaluate, how the community is involved in it from the homeowners association side next year, we kind of know how it was last year and how we can kind of tweak it to be able to available. I feel in a lot of cases when I saw them loading into Market Street and they're loading everything in there, I'm going, you're trying to put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. I mean, it was packed, in there. Full well knowing when I'm picking things out, I was like, well, originally that was going to go at Lakeside, that was going to go on the Great Lawn, this was going to go over here. And so not saying that we want to do that, but just kind of knowing what it is,
And what was amazing is when they said, we had so much more room here than we had in Vegas, and I thought,
That's a bunch of BS.
They said that.
really?
Yeah, but
Yes.
in
Come
Vegas,
on.
they didn't have people
They
come.
put a
The only people that came watching are the people, families of the people that traveled there to participate.
Where were the 40,000 people?
I mean, we live in a resident community where we need to have resident-centric events if we want to draw. I went there with my daughter, high school, and we walked around and kept on walking. I mean, it wasn't anything for us.
Right.
We kept on going. And I'm not saying that it can't, but what I'm saying is if we get in the conversation very early, then maybe we can create things for the residents, which is what we wanted to do at the very beginning.
That was the purpose of actually even engaging in the conversation, was how
correct.
can we make this
Right.
important? to
Otherwise, they
residents.
can rent any spot anywhere in the whole United States. Why would, I mean, then it just goes to the highest bidder. Then the Celebration is nothing but we're renting space to the, it doesn't make sense to me. It needs to be good for the community, so, anyway.
Long story short,
We get
give
some
us a
feedback.
report.
We all have opinions on it.
But just quickly on maintenance, we have the spring park field renovation in full swing. All the weeds have been killed off. It's been skinned. It's been laser leveled. It's been crowned. I believe the sod's coming tomorrow. We've been very fortunate this year with weather. Sod Bermuda in particular is still very healthy, so we'll be rolling some sod out tomorrow through the end of this week. So field will have to stay down for a few more weeks as the roots take, and we'll have plenty of water on it, but we should have a nice green field within the next couple of weeks. And then Susan has a couple maintenance items she's going to share with you also.
Todd Haskett, our operations manager, met with Albert Riddle to come up with a great lawn re-landscape project, and it's in
Susan, for the
front.
folk, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. For the folks that don't know where the Great Lawn is.
Right. It's over in Lakeside Park, and it's the centerpiece of Celebration. And so it's really important that that really pop. And so we've been working for several months, and Albert has come up with a plan that is honestly very nice, in my opinion. And it went in front of the ARC last night and wasn't. So that will be presented to you next month for your approval, and we'll get that done just as quickly as possible. He's also worked with Albert on a Deer Woods Park project, and so that also will be on the agenda next month as well.
Susan, with that, I know there had been some questions with master planning Lakeside. Is the intention that we could use, if we're going to spend a lot of money to redo the landscaping there, I would hope that we do it with the intention that with this master planning idea in the back of our head, so that we're not having to rip out this landscaping that we just spent a lot of money for. Was that part of the process, or are we not far enough down the road?
I'm not sure, but I
Okay.
can certainly find out and let you know.
Yeah, because I think that would be, I just don't want to tear up brand-new
No,
plants.
I had the same exact thing. What do we think the estimated cost for this is?
No idea, but I will tell you the footprint is about the same as what it is. The plants, instead of the boxwood or whatever kind of hedges they are, it's a much more attractive look. There's benches periodically throughout the rounded area without backs that are near the lake, so that somebody can sit and face the stage, or they can sit and look at the lake. The bollards have been re-looked at to find something that goes with the look of the downtown. So we're looking at lots of options. So I will check into that, and I'll be able to get back to you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Have you gotten a hold of Enterprise yet, of those meters for the parks? Did they say about installation ever?
I have talked with them about it. They said that there have not been meters purchased at this time. There's no meters yet.
Well, how long does it take to buy a meter?
What I had heard originally was that there's meters already purchased and they're sitting
that's
there
what I
and
thought.
waiting to be
Yeah.
installed.
Yeah.
And when I met with Brian and Gary, they said at this point in time, the meters have not been purchased.
I mean, we've been talking about this for years. I mean, we're paying for
Amongst
water that
ourselves,
we're...
unfortunately, and not to the ECDD.
I mean, we're paying for this water, and, they're making out like bandits with this, and we don't have any meters to even meter the water. And they keep dragging their feet. I don't, what the heck is going on? We've been complaining about this for years already.
3 years.
I mean, how long does it take to put a meter in a damn
I
ground?
put you in charge.
Well, I think
Come
go
on,
to
you
the
dig a hole, you put the pipes to it, and let it go.
I will bet there probably was not a single resident at the ECD meeting, so if you probably go to the ECD meeting, Dave, for us, then that might make a big difference.
I talked to Dennis. I was walking back when they were having that meeting, and I said, will you please ask them when they're going to put the meters in?
Yeah, but I think if you go.
Yeah, if I
staff-
go, I've been at it, I've been in meetings since 4 o'clock with Canoma and everything else. I'm gonna go to the Enterprise too.
Do we know when the next-
What I'm saying is, this is baloney already.
Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna find out when the next
Okay.
ECBD meeting is.
All right.
I'll call them, I'll go.
Thank you.
Or if you want, tell me when that stupid thing is, I'm gonna talk to them.
Okay.
Because I'm tired of the BS already. They keep BSing us and it's sickening already.
Can't do it.
So Steve's going to follow up.
Enough of that.
Dave's going to be looped in.
Dave's in charge.
We're going to get some.
I'm gonna go out with a bang this year.
That's the end of our management report.
Oh, the question before the end. Halloween,
Yes.
we had asked for 15 officers, and I actually spoke on the morning of Halloween with both Andy Lang and the gentleman that's running for sheriff, Dave.
Scott Clark.
Oh, Scott.
Scott Skylark.
Dave.
Dave Skylark or something like that.
Yeah. And they confirmed 15 officers, and evidently we had 3. But the management reports read that the sheriff's office does not have many other communities they have to cover on Halloween. Clearly, that's because everybody's here. So I just don't know if there can be any follow-up on this, because we do not ask for officers due to crime, which was what was written in the report. We ask for the safety of the children.
Right.
And that so emergency vehicles can access the roads that are blocked off by parking.
So they only put 3 guys here?
Captain Lang has been looking at the report numbers, and there was not a spike in crime in Celebration. There's not a spike in crime because we're all on a front porch. So, again, I just want to stress that we need the officers for.
That's what he based it on, crime?
Right. It wasn't on traffic control at all. It was.
Now,
That's what Hansel originally signed on that for.
I'm just,
And I know the
Well, Andy should know that already too. I mean, come on.
I already spoke to their public information officer.
Liaison bullshit already.
But anyway, I just wanted to
Guy's
bring
another
that
phony
forward.
baloney too.
Thank you.
Do we know if there's only 3 officers? I mean, I know this.
There were 3. There were only 3 confirmed because I followed up, and I was very disappointed because that morning I was assured 15, so.
What would they do, though?
Clearly-
What would the other?
Traffic control.
Well, what they do is it's basically traffic control, because we've had years where roads have been.
They keep the cars
blocked for
moving.
access. It's not for crime, it's for safety.
They keep the cars moving is what they're supposed to do. Keep the cars moving, especially over here by the bridge.
Well, I remember when they parked in the bridge.
Yeah,
one
they're
year,
parking on the bridge down, coming into town. They're supposed to keep that all clean or impound the cars.
Thank you.
Is CDD bringing this thing up in their meeting? Are they bringing this up? Because they're the liaison with the sheriff's department. This is a problem.
Cliff knows about it.
Yeah.
Lee, I'm meeting with Cliff tomorrow. I'll talk about it tomorrow.
Please, yeah, if you could. I know that Jerry's on vacation, but Cliff would be great to do that with Cliff. I put Cliff on the email, which was on the follow-up, so he's aware.
Yeah, I'm meeting with him tomorrow.
He's aware of it.
See, as long as it's not a function of the HOA, Halloween is not. So it's their responsibility, the sheriff's department, to supply the needed people.
Well, whatever.
to
I just know that they said
Well, that's
15
what
were
was the
confirmed,
agreement,
and
that
we had
we met
3,
with them
so
when I talked to Hansel.
All right.
thank you.
So, any other questions on the management report? All right, moving on to action items for this evening. Action item number 1 is approval of the 2016 Artisan Park budget, CTAB 1.
Thank you, Jeff.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
In a second?
Second.
All right, and discussion.
It has been approved already by the Artisan Park Committee.
Gotcha. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Action item number 2, approval of the 2016 service area budgets. This is tab 2. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Jack. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. This is a revised item, approval of the revised collection policy, CTAB 3. Do I have a motion?
I so moved, but I have questions.
Okay,
Motion for discussion.
sure. Do we have a second? All right, and discussion.
I have a question. This is revised because of the new legislation.
That's exactly
So
right.
can you just
Yes, absolutely.
thank you.
What Becker and Polyakov added was the specific assessments that we're now converting. They also added the portion, specific assessments was added throughout the language. And then they also added the portion where the board is the one who authorizes us to send the intent to lien letters. And that's truly all that it was.
Okay, now the question is, what's the difference between the one we got today, the supplemental one, and the one previously issued to us?
The previously issued to you earlier last week?
Yeah.
Spelling.
Okay.
There were a couple of spelling
Okay.
issues, grammatical.
Thank you. I have a question about item 2 for the, any assessment not paid by the due date would incur a late fee of $25 and interest in the amount of 18% per annum. I just feel that that's usury. It's a high rate.
I think that's a standard rate that is applied.
It was the standard rate and has been for a very long time, but I asked this at the last meeting we had with Larson Associates, and it's been the standard rate, but interest rates have fallen dramatically, and I feel it's high, and would like to propose 12% to be discussed.
Why?
Just discussed. Okay, we're at 18.
I think what you do is you try to do the limit. You could always,
You know, it's an interesting thing because most times we'll waive those interest.
that's right. That's what I mean. Is at the end of the day is
Late fees.
Right.
We waive most of it?
Typically.
well, sometimes right.
When they
For the
It's in our
first time-
discretion.
For the first
yeah.
time, yes. You know, it's the first time, that's what we typically do that.
So that's
for
why
the
you keep it like
first
that.
And I think it's the maximum as to be used as a deterrent to avoid from late assessment payments.
Yeah, because I think we're not in the business of making money off of the late fees and interest. I think
Well,
really,
that's, I understood, and that's why I thought we could look at.
yeah, I think the catch that I have with that is there's some properties in the community that we're all very familiar with that have gone.
They should not get a discount.
way over.
They need to get their
And
18%.
it's not,
You at the end of the meeting.
it's not as a result of financial hardship or personal hardship or anything like that. It's, they're thumbing their nose at us essentially at that point in time saying, let's go for it. And I got a problem with that one.
I mean, those are the
So,
ones
yeah.
we can foreclose on eventually. I mean, that's, we do have.
Oh, no,
we do have other
absolutely.
avenues.
Yeah. So, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, is there any further discussion on the?
So what do we collect, like a year on fines at that?
On fines?
Well, I mean, at the
or on
18%,
interest?
I know the 25, we get a lot on the $25,
Are we
but do we know
talking
what we get on the
interest?
interest? Yeah, just on the interest?
Well, I'll tell you what we
A
budgeted.
lot of it's waived.
And we do waive it.
Yeah.
What's applied to the account and what we collect are
Different
two
things, I know.
different things.
Yeah.
Right now, the interest outstanding on our accounts receivable is $63,170. That's what's been assessed to the delinquent accounts and not yet collected. And then for interest, we have, let me see, I can't see anymore. Yeah, I just saw it.
Need to blow up the type on that report.
$36,000 has been assessed so far this year. 36,617. 36,617 is the number.
Okay.
Assessed.
Assessed, not
Okay,
collected.
Not collected, okay.
And we don't know, like, what we, do we
Well,
get
we-
half of that? I mean, like, just a rough,
I don't know, but I think we can probably easily, Genart should be able to, let us know what we've actually collected. So I'll see if I can find that.
that's okay. I just wanted to-
Is there any more discussion about this? Or not?
This one.
Okay.
All right,
No, just-
all those,
We didn't, the motion was for discussion, that's why I was,
yeah. So is there a motion to approve?
a motion to approve.
Okay, and a second for the motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All
Let me
right.
get it clarified. What are we approving? Are we talking about the 12% or the 18%? or-
No.
As written.
As
Or
written.
the
Yeah,
original
written-
document?
As written,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Debbie, did you say abstain?
All right, action item number 4, approval to notice residents for the revision to porches in Exhibit C, C tab 4. Do I have a motion?
So move.
And a second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Okay, I read this. I just.
Either
can you
yes
put
or
it
no.
in- Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys don't mind, we'll let Susanna kind of
Does this,
give you
can
some
you keep the
background.
things or not?
Art, right?
Yeah.
This is a revision, basically, as far as strategy on addressing porch decorations. Previously, the board had asked management to draft a guideline about hanging decor and porch decorations. And that had gone through the ARC, and there was some discussion on both sides on kind of the direction on, the pros and cons on that kind of situation. And so Jack wonderfully created a revision to Exhibit C, item number 10, porches. And basically, instead of going through ARC and having every homeowner submit a request for every, little thing they want to do on their porch, we incorporated the wording from the guideline, including the parameters that we had proposed with the guideline, into Exhibit C. So that is what you're looking at. It's gone to ARC, they approved it, and it's also gone to the attorney for review. And this is for notice to the residents.
So,
The significant thing is that you don't have to go for ARC approval in order to decorate your porch
Does
now.
this mean the person can keep their Mickey ears on the fender? And this means you can keep your big Mickey on your porch?
We don't have a big, that's,
pole.
we don't have a light pole.
As long as it's not attached, basically.
As long as it's
Right.
not attached. Okay.
No,
And so
it's just
So
a
the
little
other guy that
statue.
had an issue with the Mickey ears on the finials for the
We
porch,
emailed them
can
to
or
say
can't?
that as long as it's their decorations, it's not a
Well,
structural
light
change,
poles
then
don't
that's
affect it
okay.
anyway because they're not attached.
We communicated with him. In other words, the issue's been resolved to his satisfaction too, so.
and Susanna, just so for our clarification, you said it went through ARC, including it went in front of our paid architect liaison, who was okay with it,
Yes.
as well as our attorney. So that base has been covered. In addition to, for folks that aren't familiar with Exhibit C as much as Jack is, it's one of the struggles that I know Covenants had prior is there was no real good definition of what the heck the porch was. And this helps that a lot, to be able to help define kind of what that porch area is within the space. So I solution, in my own personal opinion, mostly because we're not convoluting with another design guideline that then someone has to follow. And then it also helps relieve some of the burden on ARC as well.
And it reduces the subjectivity when you're reviewing those, decorations that each homeowner has for their home.
And this eliminates the one we talked about, that you can only have a certain number of items on the porch, and you kind of, little porch or big porch. Is
No,
this-
that doesn't address
You
that
still
at
have
all.
that?
That design guideline goes away. This
Yeah.
kind of replaces
This
that.
takes the
replace-
place of
yeah.
it.
That's what thank you.
And what we're voting on tonight, just what we've made the motion for now is, this is just the notice to the residents. So this would still come back to us at the next meeting for approval.
Yes, we notice every resident, and then we post it for 30 days, and then it'll come back to the board for final voting in January
How do we notice every resident?
via letter.
So we're going to send this out.
We'll send a letter to each resident stating that there are proposed changes to the Exhibit C, and also subsequent, we'll talk about tab 5, and that it will be voted on by the board at the January meeting. And it's posted for their reference on the front porch.
Do we have anything else that needs to go to the residents to save money? And
Tab
at the
5.
same
Tab
time?
5.
Tab 5?
Besides tab 5, sorry. I know it's coming next, but I mean, anything else that we need to notice other than ARC stuff, but.
We have the budget that will be, the approved budget postcard that we'll be sending out.
Okay. But can we,
I'm trying to save on postage.
can we shove that postcard in? That way we can save money instead of, yeah. Okay.
Look and see what we can do.
Bless you.
Perfect. Any other questions for Susanna?
No.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, guys.
I'm going to stay up here.
Tab 5. Right, tab 5.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item 5, approval to notice residents for the design guidelines. This is tab 5. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
Yes, just one place in the, we're talking about the landscaping. It says when the fence setback is less than 12 inches, no landscape is required. Grass is permitted as an extension from the lawn. When the fence setback is 12 inches to 2 feet, landscape is required. I would propose you change that to 16 inches as far as no landscaping required, because the standard size of a piece of sod is cut at 16 by 24 inches. So rather than cutting down a piece of sod and destroying that, lay the piece of sod down in its entirety.
Okay, so you're referring to the fence guideline?
Yes.
Under landscaping?
Right.
And where it discusses what landscaping is required in front of a picket fence.
Picket fence
And
for
right
gas
now, it's
landscape.
basically saying if you're under 12, you can just have grass.
Right.
But if you're 12 or over, you should have plants.
I'm
And
saying 16
you'd
inches,
like to
which
change
is
that
the
to 16.
standard size of a piece of sod.
So up to 16 inches would be just grass, and
Yeah.
after that would be plants.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with where the fence falls then?
It's 4 extra inches now.
4 extra
Wait.
inches, yeah.
I guess the difference though between 12 and 16, you could probably fit plantings at 16, couldn't you?
Well, that's what they're saying, is
Right.
if it's more than 12 inches, they can do that.
Right.
The issue is that, first off, if you
But
put a
if you're
plant
asking-
there,
Go ahead, I'm
if you
sorry.
realistically put a plant there, it is going to grow through the fence, it's going to grow on the sidewalk as well. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to put just sod there, sod alone, and you say 12 inches, you've got to cut that piece of sod, okay? That destroys the side of the sod, it's a mess.
I see what you're saying. I guess my concern is that the difference between going 12 inches and going 16 inches is the difference between being able to put something there and not put something there. Because at 16 inches, you really can fit some annuals in there,
That would be
as
your,
opposed to just the sod.
and Vanessa, that would be your option. I'm just saying,
We're not saying you can't.
up to 16 inches, you can put sod.
I guess, and just I guess my concern is it really in the, is it in the interest of what the original guidelines were intended? And that was having flowers or something up there is much more attractive than having sod.
If it lives.
Well, I'm with you, and you know, we've got the house that has the exact same issue.
Right.
But it's, I think there's maybe 12 inches there. I don't think there's even 16. Is there a lot of houses that have 16 inches instead of?
There are some.
Yes.
And
Jack,
there
are you
some with
looking
only
at it
6
from
that
a
have-
standpoint of saving the sod itself, or for economics as far as buying it?
No, when you start cutting down the sod,
It
you're
dies.
gonna rip
It'll
the
rip
root
it
structure
and-
apart.
So in other words, you're hurting the
actual
You
quality
cut
of the sod by
It's
cutting
very
it.
simple. Most people cut sod. It's not,
Yeah, you see the landscapers do it with a big machete.
cut it.
But it's.
I just put a bunch of
Right,
sod
right.
around the tree and it was fine, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. My concern about this is, this came through, I'm guessing, you didn't say this for this item, but the other item you said it went through the ARC, it went through our town architect. I'm assuming this has all been the
This too.
same process.
This followed the workshop where we discussed the 3 guidelines, and at the end of that, you had specific questions for the ARC, and a lot of them included setbacks for the picket fence, varying degrees, what kind of landscape is required, post heights, hardware. So then I went to the ARC and asked them those questions, then came back and I sent those to you, and then I incorporated those into the guideline for y'all to either move forward with, or you take back to
Well,
the table.
my question then would be for ARC, is 12 inches an arbitrary number that they decide pulled out of the air? Or would they consider 16 inches based on the size of the piece of sod?
My belief is they picked 12 inches because that's the general amount of time, amount of space to put plants. And the idea was too, to pick some plants and come up with a list with the help of Albert that are conducive to putting in an area in front of a picket fence, limiting plants that overflow into the sidewalk who, overgrown. And again, in this guideline, it doesn't allow vines to go over the fence like they do so many, to pick some plants that are reasonable, that fit into a 12-inch space. And then if you don't have that, then you don't need plants.
My question was the same as Jack's, basically, except different angle, is that I don't want to discuss the difference between 12 and 16. It's just because that's their job to do that. I assume they vetted this, and I'm not sure I want to change this.
Right, is that the one, are they the ones that actually chose the 12 inches?
Yes.
Okay.
Rachel, who made the motion?
I didn't.
I made the motion.
Vanessa and
second.
Jack
I second.
And
seconded.
Jack seconded. Okay. All right, so there's a motion on the table. Vanessa, do you want to withdraw your motion, or are we going to continue on?
There are 3 guidelines. Are y'all voting on
Oh,
all 3
I'm sorry.
collectively
Do
or
we have any other
individually?
questions for the?
We did want to point out too that the other guidelines you all approved during the workshop, and those
Right.
had been vetted. So really, if we're talking about doing them all together, it's just something to think about. And if we go back on this one for the 12 to 16, we probably would hold off on the other notice also, so that we could have that
All at the same time.
savings. We have to get the budget out though, so that's going out regardless.
Gotcha. We have a mailing going out regardless.
So good. What are we voting on? The 16?
The motion right now is at the 12, which is as stands. So I will withdraw my motion if somebody else would like to motion something
Let
else.
me clarify this. This is for going out for community discussion, right?
Or no, that's
Mm-hmm.
right.
All right, so I don't have a problem with putting out for community discussion. My input, though, for when we finally vote on this thing is I'd like to see 16 inches.
Sure.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
I'll
All
second it.
right. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Action item number 6, approval of, thank you, Susanna. Approval of Association Resolution for CCS election excess income applied to the following year's assessments. This is tab 6. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, and a second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
This actually doesn't go to assessments, it's just carryover of any excess money in CCS to be utilized next year.
Gotcha. CCS, for folks that don't know, is Celebration Community Services, which is the nonprofit entity that essentially sits under CJC, which is the Celebration Joint Committee. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion on this one?
Excessive income applied.
Lee's discussing with himself.
Yeah.
So,
It's really a formality
So-
just to move it forward.
Is it for the IRS?
Is it a lot of money, or do we know what
To
the
have
amount
that tracking that.
Debbie wants to know if, do we know the
what the amount
amount?
is?
Um,
$100, $1,000, couple thousand, I don't know.
It's yearly
In
variance.
financials. Here it is.
What have we done in the past?
I think you've done this very thing.
We've actually had a resolution for it, or we just been rolling it over?
I'm not sure.
I've never seen the
Neither
resolution
have I.
before, but
Yeah.
I think it's based on a revenue ruling. If you read the tab, it actually says, I think, revenue
According-
ruling
yes.
number 70.
Yeah,
And so
I
Ruling,
thing
yeah.
at this point in time.
So, and we've been doing
I
it
was just curious
probably
about
every
it.
year since then, so, okay.
We have a net loss of $8,600 this year so far.
So they owe us that?
We still have.
It works both ways.
We just. CCS contribution.
No, you know.
So it hasn't hit
No,
yet?
we're just
Gotcha.
saying we would go, don't.
So,
the
for
answer
folk-
is now we take it from.
So for folks that didn't hear it, Steve, there's still a payment that's due from CJC on that one.
So it might be,
So we might have some
Revenue
excess.
positive.
So we'll see. Any further discussion on this guy? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Action item number 7, approval to purchase tunnel slide and deck section from Rep Services in the amount of $2,700.72. This is a CROA operating expenditure, C tab 7.
so moved.
All right, a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Steve, just, I know we,
I'll tell you.
Go for it,
It's
yeah.
in the North Village playground, and when we went to install the new equipment that we ordered, we noticed that there was some safety hazards with these 2 items, and so we're going to go ahead and order them, provided you approve it.
and I know my question had been, it's an operating expenditure, not a reserve expenditure?
Yes.
Okay. Is this,
What do
is
we
there a
do?
reason why it's an operating expenditure, not a reserve expenditure? Like, do we not reserve for the slide?
Well, we do reserve for it, but there's money in that line item, and I believe Todd has some plans for the reserves coming up.
Gotcha,
So-
okay, okay.
So
that
what are we
works.
doing with the old one then?
You want it?
You probably have to
Dave needs
dispose
it.
of it.
Dave needs a slide.
As long as you're not putting it
Safety
up
hazard.
publicly for kids to slide on.
I mean, is it defective? Can we sell it to another place or?
It's
It's
a safety issue. That's why we're getting rid of
Can we
it.
take it to the
So I
junkyard
guess,
and scrap
so I guess if you want to use it for your grandkids, go for it.
It probably gets recycled, the material probably gets recycled.
Any further discussion on the slide? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We get a slide. Approval to purchase benches from Rep Services in the amount of $7,500 for Artisan Park per the Celebration Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This is accruing working capital reserve expense. Thank you for the clarification this month. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
And discussion.
Where exactly is this going? I didn't.
That's what I was going to ask this.
Yeah.
We have
Artisan Park.
the Artisan Park, where the bocce ball court is, the amphitheater, there's some spots there.
And just so we're clear for everyone, these are CROA assets, not Artisan Park Service Area assets.
And this was part of the master plan, the layout from Jeffrey Mallon when he did the town hall meetings, and then some, part of the first year approved funding for a master plan.
So part of the
That
plan
you
that we
approved at the last
voted
meeting.
on, we're now seeing some of the money come through this.
So this,
We're trying
so
to
we're
move
going to
some of
see
these things forward.
a greater increase in bocce ball playing, I think, because now we have seating.
So
I sit out there, I sit on the wall right now.
I'd like to monitor that.
This is one of the low-hanging fruit things that we could start moving forward.
All right.
So Steve, this is buying 7 benches or 6 benches or
I
what?
believe it's 6 benches only.
Six?
Plus installation?
1,000 each.
Yeah, but there's installation or something.
Yeah, you gotta bolt them
We
down.
gotta put a
otherwise they
pad
walk.
down.
Now, the other question with this is, are we going to start replacing the remainder of our wood benches with things like this?
I think we've started doing some of those, but this was not replacement. This is additional new stuff because it was identified in the master planning process.
So they
And
found
as
that
we
they're missing.
prioritize, this is one of the, again, the low-hanging fruits, the less expensive items that we could move into year one, along with dog park and road payment and those other things.
And I actually think that area, it's a beautiful area, and if there's benches there, people probably will sit there.
And it was identified by the community as a need, so.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We get benches with our slide. 9 is gone. Action item 10, approval to have CCMC send 70 CROA and 30 service area intent to lien letters to owners delinquent in their October assessments. And this is tab 10. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second. Okay. Discussion. All right.
Send it out.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Action item 11, approval of the homeowner requests for October. Note that this is revised. See tab 11. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. So the one that was added was 5, correct? That's in this big yellow box? Sure. No, sorry, here. Oh, did I steal your copy?
Whoa, wait.
We have a new one that's not.
Sorry.
I don't think so.
Sorry, I did not see that. I
On
withdrew
number
my motion.
5, on number 5, you want to go along with the legal's advisement?
Is that?
So this was the one that got emailed out to the
Yes.
board earlier
What's
this
management's recommendation
afternoon.
on this?
Oh.
Yeah, so, correct. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Now you know what I saw it already.
10,
So
11.
the revision attached to your revised agenda,
Yep,
something is added.
Highlighted in yellow, right?
Highlighted?
yeah, okay.
Okay. Does it, one thing that changed?
Gotcha.
Thank
This
Okay.
is the one Susanna sent it out, I believe, this morning.
She did.
Yeah.
It's to ask to waive the fines for it's the new owner. The fines would be on their estoppel, so they're asking to waive it so they can put that money into repairs of the house.
Wait, the new owner is a name and number 5?
Yes.
What is management's recommendation?
Really?
No, the new,
No,
not the new
that's
owner,
not
that's
the
the
old
existing
owner.
That's the
owner.
existing
They haven't
owner.
closed yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
new owner would be.
they're trying to close tomorrow.
Right.
But in order to close, they want those waived so that they can put the money towards something other than, yeah.
And
Which we want them to do anyway.
Right.
That's why we.
Suzanne, do you mind coming up real quick? I know, Suzanne, can you just recap the email discussion that we had in regards to concerns in regards to finding, and let's say the homeowner doesn't have a fix to the house?
Right, so it's basically a short sale that's occurring tomorrow. And what would happen is on the non-compliant certificate that's issued with the estoppel through HomeWise, when it goes to the title company and the closing, Community Standards would issue a statement saying that the items must be completed, and we've done a new inspection, we have a long list, must be completed within 90 days. At 90 days, Community Standards will follow up. If the items are not completed, up to $5,000 per item can be fined.
So if we said no, what would happen?
The house would go into foreclosure.
So you're saying they wouldn't close on the house because of $20,000 in fines?
They would not buy the
Would they
house.
close on the house for $500 in fines?
I don't know.
$1,000 in fines?
very well, and I if we do this with other closings or anything you see that you can.
I don't find it a standard practice in this case. The Covenants Committee discussed this property at the hearing, and it has been an eyesore in the community for a couple years. One of the owners had passed away, so the house had been abandoned and disrepair, and so now the widow is forced to foreclose.
So it's in the best interest of the community.
So the Covenant's feeling was to put the money towards fixing that house and making it better in the community versus taking the money.
Will that money be escrowed for that purpose?
No, there's no way to ensure that.
No.
So I'll make a motion for number 5, to take it separately, that we waive all the fines but $500.
Given my current
Where's the 500?
refresher with Robert's Rules of Order, I apologize. Who made the motion?
I don't think there was a motion.
Debbie.
There wasn't.
So
For all 5 of them, she withdrew it because
So
then she
Debbie is
withdrew it.
withdrawing the motion. Okay, so we have a new motion on the table.
You did, right?
So for removing, for we're voting on 1 through 4. The whole thing?
No, I'm just I'm just number 5. I'm talking about number 5.
Just
I want
number
to take it
5 right now.
separately,
Okay.
since that is probably the one that's the issue.
Okay. Can you repeat the motion?
So, and by the way, there may be other issues, so I'll just do number 5. I see Debbie behind you. So what I'll do is, so I would make a motion on number 5 that we do not accept the request, but we do ask for $500 instead of that number that's here.
Why?
I can't go along with the $500 because there's no good faith at all involved yet. There's no promise that anything's been done or will be done. I'm more going along with what Susanna's recommending, that we give them 90 days and then we start revisiting and finding them.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's important that we sell the property.
No, I think the $500 is not I guess this is not really with the second and whatever, but anyway, but just so I can give you my thoughts is, we've gone through a lot on this property for a long time. We've expended, just like we've done with other things, we use a certain in terms of staff time and some other stuff here. Some other stuff. We've used that number as a minimum number for a couple things. I believe they're not going to not close on the house for $500. We could still do what you're talking about, that we still give them 90 days, but yet $500 for the time involved in this, I don't think it's going to stop them from closing. And we're waiving $19,500 in fines if they get it done in 90 days.
I still can't go along with that, but I do have one.
That's okay,
Before
but I'm looking for a second.
Before I ask your question.
You can do that if you want to.
But I've still got a question, though. The original bill was $32,900. Are they paying the $12,900?
12,000,
Okay,
yes.
so the only thing in question is
getting money out of
$20,000.
it.
They're paying the attorney fees and the interest and.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
they're
roughly
paying
13,000.
actual costs of attorney fees only. They're not paying, so we've, in our other meetings, I'm just trying to be consistent, in our other meetings, we've discussed the time involved and the other work involved in staff costs, not the attorney's fees.
Well,
So that's why I was getting that number.
Let me ask what did the $12,900 consist of? Is it mostly fines, or is it assessments? What is it?
It's legal fees and.
I don't have the sheet in front of me, to be honest with you. I can get that, but I believe it was interest, attorney fees. And, yeah.
there are-
Exactly, spend costs. hard
But there
costs.
are things.
We were
that
maintaining that
we would
property
have been
for several
waiving and stuff like that,
years,
too.
too.
We are getting money out of it. Okay? We are getting something.
I don't deny that. All I'm saying is,
Here's
I'm
my,
getting an
here's my thing, Lee, is I want the thing to close. I want it out of the current property owner's hands. I want them to have, the new ones to have an opportunity to improve it and bring it back. And that's all we ever do, is try and, make something come back to good.
I don't disagree with you. I want the same exact things. I just think
and-
$500 is not going to do it. And that's the same argument that we do with ARC covenant and violations, is we use that same number.
But on that side, too, we've also been advised $1,000, what we should have for a minimum.
I guess the
Okay.
flip side of that is we're also not in a situation to where we're putting a potential sale in jeopardy.
I don't want to jeopardize the sale. I want it sold.
So I guess to flip side, Susanna, with your conversation, what are your concerns if Lee's motion does get a second?
I haven't spoken to the buyers. I have spoken to the owner through the
owner,
realtor,
okay.
who's
So
kind
with
of
the
in
realtor then,
connection of both. I know that the buyers
wouldn't motivate
signed
others
the
to
non-compliance
do
form
so.
stating they would address all the items. They did say that they would not buy the home for $20,000. I don't have another amount that they're willing to go. I don't have a limit, so.
I know, and I'm
can't
just
say
going
what
by
your
my-
situation. I know, you're trying to
I'm going by
apply.
my internal business sense that tells me that $500
And I'm
is
okay
not
with
going to
business
stop.
sense, but
It's
I'm
not
also
going to
not-
stop.
Hang on, we now have a call for question on the motion on the table.
No, there's no second, so there's
So
no
there's no
question.
second, so
Unless there's
is there a second
there's
for the
no-
motion?
yeah.
You're trying to apply the standard appeal
same
amount
standard we
that
do with everything
for all
else.
So
appeals.
the motion dies. Is there a new motion on the table?
Motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, so what, motion to approve the motion
Waive
is
all
read?
funds.
The waive of the $20,000 and the,
We're talking specifically about 5 or 1 through 5? 1 through 5. Okay,
There's no concerns about any of the others then, right? Okay.
so there's a motion on the table right now to approve, as written, the homeowner requests for the board for 1 through 5. Is there a second on that? No, there was a second. Who seconded?
I did.
Vanessa seconded. Jack? We have
I'll
enough
even second it. Move it along.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Susanna.
All right, motion carries. Thanks, Susanna, again. 12, approval of attorney-instructed write-offs for October. This is tab 12. So move. And a second,
Second.
and discussion. All right? All the, Dave made the motion, and then I heard a second over here, right?
Debbie.
Debbie seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to accept, approval of legal requests as advised by attorney. This is tab 13. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It looks like we have a recommendation to not accept items 1 and 2.
Hang on, who seconded? Me. Okay, Dave.
Well, what was the
okay.
motion then?
Well, it's to accept the attorney's
Accept the attorney's
recommendations.
recommendation.
Okay, gotcha. So we're on discussion. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Approval to accept proposal for the replacement of 14 trellises at Meeting House Green by Scott Walker and Associates at a cost of $4,050.60. This is a service area reserve expense. This is tab 14. Do I have a motion? So moved.
That's my motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. All right,
They need it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of insurance renewals for 2016. Do I have a motion? This is tab 15. And a second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Tab 15 was not in.
What
Tab
tab
15
are you?
isn't here.
Not
Yeah,
in our board
Tab
packet.
15, 16.
Insurance renewal.
sorry.
It's on the, it's on.
Ah, gotcha. Gotcha.
That was the next one.
Not in Evernote.
Where?
That's my problem.
You had 2 attachments. It's in there.
15.
Can I see it?
Patrick emailed it this morning.
Right. And
Housing
also,
I got
an insurance group is
lighting.
working to get the best rates
CGC
possible,
passed
so we got them in at the last minute.
I don't
Gotcha.
have it.
Tab 16.
And they were approved by CROA and CJC.
No,
And
there's
this is
16.
all
Yes.
insurance? Is it?
It's all insurance.
It's all of our insurance.
all
I
insurance.
believe
It's all budgeted for
$125,000.
Yeah, so.
And
I don't have tab 15.
so,
It's in
We
your
don't have it.
supplemental
They
packet.
emailed it this morning.
Well, supplemental, I've got 16. I don't have 15.
so I guess the liquor liability, some other things I would question. Is this for the association itself, or is this for Artisan Park that has a liquor license? How is it working for that?
I believe it's for the food truck event that we are going to have wine and beer,
Okay.
right? Is that correct, JR?
We got beer and wine food truck. That's why we need to have insurance.
Yeah.
Well, and that is
better have it.
CJC, that covers everything.
Yeah, no, I'm not against it at all. I just want to make sure that, that if it's for Artisan Park, that they're paying their fair share for their license as opposed to the, as a homeowners on the whole. But if that's the case, and which I'm fine with. So it's,
All right, any further discussion?
The streaming went down.
Streaming went down.
I know there's one person.
Gotcha.
So it's okay.
No, there were five.
Actually, there's a couple.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Oh my God, we had the entire bar.
All those in,
They really were.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Awesome.
Approval of the installation of lighting at the tennis court from the NIDY company in the amount of $73,500. This is a CROA working capital reserve expense, CTEP 16. Do I have a motion?
Let's get some explanation first.
All right,
Motion to discuss.
motion for,
Let's discuss.
okay, motion for discussion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we're discussing.
I guess my understanding last time was that it was like 42, and now we're to 70, so I'm guessing
it's-
something happened.
Yeah, this is for replacement of all the lights to LED. The last discussion was just to do the one court, and you asked me to go back and find out what it would cost to just retrofit all of them and have them all replaced with LED lighting.
Yeah, so you saved
I
money.
did reach out to 3 companies. 90 was one because they had the existing poles, existing boxes. The other was Musco Lighting, who is probably one of the best in recreation lighting. They actually lit our baseball fields here. And then the third was Qualight, which also does recreation lighting, and they're one of the top companies. Musco came back because they'd have to retrofit the poles completely to make their fixtures fit at $73,500 just to do the existing lighting. That's not to add additional lighting. In fact, they said if they're not competitive with that, they didn't want to send people out to measure and look at what it would be to put that last battery of cords in.
So I know that when we previously had this question, we were looking at what our payback would be from energy savings on this.
And
Do we have an
I
estimate?
don't have that information yet. I did reach out again and say, guys, I need this, and they didn't provide it to me at this point in time, so.
Okay.
I have a couple things. I'm not convinced that spending $72,000 on this is going to be a good use of money. Only because we're going to run through our money here pretty quickly. I think it's a priority to go ahead and do the tennis courts, but I don't know that we necessarily need to spend $72,000 on it. So. And I do understand the lighting and the possible cost savings over the long run.
And it sounds like you're probably right, but I think that getting this is probably break-even analysis, you know what I mean, would be helpful, because if somebody told you that we'd save money in a certain amount of years, you may think differently, but yeah, I agree.
I guess my concern with that, though, is we really don't know.
Right.
Even the projections are not even that reliable. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I don't have those numbers.
No,
yet, so
I'm just saying.
I would say yes.
I mean, my understanding of doing those types of projections is they're not very reliable because everybody uses them differently. Are you going to be, are you going to be doing a timer on them to save, which Leonard had mentioned at one time. So I'm not convinced that the additional money that we would spend, we would actually see within our reasonable lifetimes.
Right.
Sorry.
I intend to stay around for a while. So
So then the other option would be to approve LED for just the one battery quartz, or approve the metal halide for the one battery quartz to match existing. Then you'd have all your quartz lit. It is a part of the master plan that was approved to light those last quartz.
Now, you had we still have the estimates from the previous, because you had the previous board meeting, you had the other two that you were talking about, correct? That we have
Yeah,
those estimates.
Vanessa, they're further down in the proposal, about 6 pages down.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
my packet's not down.
the supplemental is having issues.
Supplemental,
right now.
yeah.
So,
Dropbox.
I have a dumb question. The $73,500 to me is for Musco.
Before taxes.
It is, but then if you do the 42,000 from 90 to light the last battery that needs to be lit, plus the 30 something to change out the other lights to LED, that gets you to your 70.
I don't know if we can.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to see how this works for everyone, since I've been reading them by Robert's rules. I'm going to make a supplemental motion to table, which needs to be voted on now. So,
We won't vote on it.
I second that motion.
okay,
Please.
there's a motion to table until
Yes,
the
that's
next
what we were
meeting.
discussing.
Yes.
Yes,
All right.
I support that.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Me.
Okay, so 6 to
We have the
1.
information we need.
We don't have, yeah. So, Steve, if we can get, I know that it's a fuzzy math, but a projection on what we're going to do for a projected payout. I think the other thing that I would want to see is not only the energy consumption, but also a lamp replacement cost. Because obviously, metal halide does have a lifespan that's much shorter than LED.
Well, let's talk about the LEDs. How about a performance guarantee of a certain number of years for replacement?
Yeah,
I thought we asked that, and there was not. Wasn't that correct? I thought that was a question that we had asked
Not a
before.
performance guarantee for using 90 to replace them. I know that Musco gives a 15-year warranty on their package.
On the lights?
But it doesn't guarantee an energy savings.
They just guarantee that it won't poop out
Then they'll
in 15
replace it,
years.
right.
Okay, gotcha. So we'll get some information for the next meeting for that.
Do you want some?
Action item number 17, approval to engage legal counsel for the celebration of the K through 8 school expansion. Do I have a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All right, we're on discussion.
Can Vanessa provide any information on today's activities?
Vanessa.
I'd be happy to share with you kind of the direction, and I don't know necessarily, I don't know that, as far as the engaging legal counsel, it's basically get their advice. I'm not proposing that we go and storm the school board or the school district with legal counsel. It's just to see what leg do we have to stand on. Here's kind of the recap from the school board meeting when I was there. We had several residents that came up and spoke. Some were actually very rational. One was is a doctor in education and spoke very rationally about the impact to the kids and the very successful 612 model, which is done currently in our school district with OXA. And then we also had another appeal, which was flipping to when we had redistricted and brought some of the kids over from Westside K-8 before, we embraced them. As a result, we had at the K-8 school, we had 34747 CARES was actually established because of the influx of kids that needed food and clothes. There was a spirit closet that was created at the school to make sure that kids had appropriate, clean, well-fit uniforms, and if there was any problems, that they even now use it for kids when they get messy, they can go ahead and switch it out. So a lot of initiatives were actually created as a result of that. But she did point out in her class, she had several of the kids that were in her class, and the number one issue that the district does not address with regards to busing kids from larger distances is the fact that they cannot participate in any type of after-school sports. We have free tutoring at the K-8 school in the morning at 8:10. Those kids can't participate in those great, those are great tools in education. You have kids that want to try out for cheer or for sport, being bused, and they have to go in the buses, and many times when you're dealing with the 40-minute drive, in some cases they don't have the support. In many cases their parents are working, they can't get to go pick them up. So those are the different issues that were highlighted at the school board meeting this evening that I think the thing that I really liked about it, it was focused on the kids, what happens to the kids. And then obviously I did read the statement on behalf of the homeowners association that we had discussed, and I believe, Steve, you were going to be posting that on the front porch too for anybody who wanted to see that, correct? Okay. So at the end, before, our biggest concern was that they were actually going to put the K-8 on the agenda because they have the ability to do that all the way up through, and sure enough, Mr. Wheeler did go ahead and ask to put the K-8 on the agenda, which is why I was delayed. I wanted to see what the context of his was. And basically, it was, he was discussing at the charter school as being an option, and that he had asked there's one board member, Clarence Thacker, thank you. I was totally blanking on it.
He's not a board member, he's for transportation, he says facilities.
No, he's not. He's
Clarence, I'm sorry.
Thacker.
I was thinking
He's
Clyde.
actually, he's the new chair.
I was thinking Clyde, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's the new chair?
He's the new chair. Clyde Wells is who you were referring to. Correct.
Yeah.
So but he is not a big supporter of charter school because he does not like the fact that you donate land. He does not support the donation of land to an individual company in order to perpetuate education. So that's because you lose total control.
Controlling themselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, side comments.
Yeah.
So that was Mr. Wheeler's main purpose of adding it on there, was just to try and get an understanding as to what Mr. Thacker would indeed support with regards to a charter school. So I will share with you that Mr. Wheeler is a strong supporter of charter school. Whether you're in favor or not in favor, that's something that I think that we should discuss during the town hall. And go through the pros and cons of everything, including, do we want to do an K-5? Do we want to do a 6-12? Do we want to engage in doing a charter school and support that? But I think that we need to have an open discussion with residents. We also earlier today had asked at the time, Chairman Weishire, to go ahead and join in, because I think it's important, and I believe all of us believe it's important that we engage all applicable parties in our conversation.
I asked him to come to the meeting because I felt he was the chairman this morning, but I felt he was the most open.
So we were going to have one of the board members come, but also facilities from the school district come, and then obviously TCC and the board. You were going to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was, sorry for interrupting.
It's okay.
I think that's probably a discussion we should have before we leave, but I think the question and the motion was to engage the attorney. So
Correct, and that's why
I want to
I was
specifically, and we had a second, but we really need to have specifics of what we want the attorney to do.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of...
So my concern with, I guess this is a wording semantics kind of thing, but I don't want to engage legal counsel.
Want to consult.
I want to consult legal counsel to see if there is a need or even a ability to engage. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay.
But what do you...
I think we have to be pretty specific. I think there's probably a couple things that I think we look at is first, the agreements between TCC and the county, right? I think, those are some of the things we probably need to look at. Tom Sonneborg said it yesterday. There's a couple things we need to look at. I think what is mandated, what's not, the discussion on portables, can be on portables. Again, those are things that I've had over the last couple of years that we've heard that we would love to get an attorney to kind of give us some guidance on, right?
And I don't know if you want to, what attorney, if you already have one of mine. There is an attorney who actually was a past PTA president at the school, Tom Sadika, who I think would be willing to certainly look at this without charge, who's a qualified attorney, used to work for NEJM Law.
Why would he do it without charge?
Or you can pay them, I don't know. But I think he understands the school, the PTA, and he certainly understands documents.
Would there be a reason why we wouldn't engage our current counsel? Because don't we have...
No, I think maybe we should establish what we want to discuss first and see if it's in their ability to do it.
I think that's the key, is that we don't necessarily pay a retainer, so we probably would want to identify someone that has a little bit more expertise in working with schools and these types of things.
Right.
So,
Did you want to acknowledge that?
so do I have a motion on the table to acknowledge a resident comment?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yes, sir. Can you approach the podium just for the folks at home? We do have 7 people.
My name is Mark Hayes from 308 Reeves Street. Would we, as an HOA, even have standing in this issue? Because what I gleaned from the workshop last night was that once TCC and the board come together in whatever way they do, that's it.
Can be, yeah.
I guess we'll find out after we pay an attorney.
I think that's part of the reason why we want to engage, is to find out, do we have any leg to stand on?
Mark, I think, and just to answer if I could, there is some standing, and there were 3 previous agreements, very lengthy agreements, that have been viewed by some people between the Celebration Company and our Osceola School District that do have some issues in there that do possibly warrant some issues that we can possibly
Okay,
move the expansion to another option.
okay.
And I think that was the question, but I feel that an attorney that has any knowledge can look over this and decide that pretty quickly.
Yeah, maybe pro bono.
Be nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think there's, 3 agreements. I mean, we're looking at, do we have a couple,
Can I,
Yeah,
since we
go
acknowledge,
ahead.
can we also ask Leonard to address, because he has looked at those 3 agreements and his wife is an attorney. He may have
Yeah,
something to add.
the floor is open right now. for homeowner
You
comments.
did open it up, that's why I
Yep,
went
yeah,
ahead.
no, yeah.
We acknowledge very quickly. Leonard Tim, 411 Campus Street. What I have gleaned, I have looked at the agreements. The very first time I did not see the expiration date of those agreements, because usually you have to get back into it before you get to the meet. And I skimmed, what is that, about 200-something pages
At least.
between the 3 agreements.
But it was at the very
250. And I had about an hour and a half to do it, so it was like reading a fast novel. What I think you need to do is go to one, there's various suits that have been done throughout the state of Florida for even just rezoning. So you find a specific education attorney that handles that from the plaintiff side. You need to just engage him and find out what rights, not necessarily does the homeowners association have, but that they might be interested in paying for the betterment of all of the residents, of course, in the community. What rights do we have, either individually or multiply? And with this agreement expiring in another
7 months.
2016, whatever that is, I forget the date.
The goal of the school district, based on their meeting this morning, was to have everything done by May.
It's an agreement that a lot of times when you have agreements like that, even though you're not part of an agreement, you're what's called a third-party beneficiary. So when you bought and you did things, you bought because of that. So you have some standing in that retrospect. And I've been told in court I never have standing. I don't know. But anyway, it's getting late. That's all I have to say. Good night.
Thank you, Larry.
Sounds good.
So I get, we have a motion. Who made the motion? This is my
I think I don't know.
We have a motion and a
think
second.
I spoke on something. I don't know if I, yeah.
Gotcha, there was a motion to engage the attorney that was
We
not.
motioned to consult.
Yes, now Eric made that
Well, that was
modification.
actually
I will
not the motion.
So-
The motion
Okay,
was to
then I
engage
would-
the attorney that
then
we did.
if it
And
was
then
me
you
that
changed it
motioned-
after we did that.
Okay, then remove the previous motion. And now I'm adding a new motion, or a changed motion, and that is, we approve to consult.
I second that.
Okay. Discussion, the only further discussion that I would have is I would request that management, we seek someone that knows about this.
Education.
Because this is not HOA law.
Also, I think specific what we're looking at, because first of all, to Leonard's point, in most cases, everybody has standing because they're homeowners and we pay like everybody else millage rate. But the difference is there's specific agreements with the Celebration Company and Osceola County School Board
That we bought.
that created the school itself, that created the high school, that created these things that may preclude the Osceola County from doing certain things and may expire also, so it may not. So we need to first look at those. So somebody needs to look at those agreements too.
We bought
And then-
into a K-12 and then a K-8
Correct.
education.
And then there's a spirit of the agreements themselves, talking about the school being in the middle of town, being accessible to everybody and that kind of stuff. So I think that those type of things, and Pat Watson could probably help with some of this stuff, but I think that it's, at the end of it is, do we have any standing? Is really the question is, to determine if we have any standing at all.
And there is previous case law on this, because there was a lawsuit that was brought out when it was switched from the K-12.
Right.
So just looking at some of the history on that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to volunteer Susan because she has a lot of connections through CAI to reach out to some other attorneys and just say, who would you recommend for something like this, and see what kind of.
Susan's got the direction.
I think that it's 2 other ones that just recently happened to. Was it Bella Lago? Was just redistricted, rezoned, and they are actually busing the kids that were previously protected under a similar agreement, and they are now busing them out of Bellalago. So that's one we might want to kind of do a little research on with that. And then the other one, I think, was it Neptune?
Neptune?
Was at one point in time was a K,
Were they a K-12?
I think they were a K-8, and then they moved it to an elementary and a middle.
Gotcha.
Because now they have the same campus now that they were proposing. So Neptune and Bellalago are the two schools within Osceola County that are more recent that ran through this situation.
And I just want to say one last thing is, I wouldn't, I mean, certainly go through your channels, but what I wouldn't do is take the quickest, easiest, cheapest route to find out this answer. I think we need to look for an expert in this field that has done it before and kind of, and could help us. And if we have to pay for that expert to help us, then we need to do it, and we need to not worry about
I agree.
other things. So.
And if anybody has any suggestions, or if there's anyone...
Well, I guess Debbie had some, so we go by her suggestions. Yeah.
So folks, anyone, we're looking for help here from the community, town.hall@celebrationtownhall.com. Forward along. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I want to know something. Is this the Thacker, that's the name, this
Yes.
Thacker Avenue Thackers?
Yes.
Oh, so the big
It's his
Yeah.
it's his family.
Oh, it's his family. How convenient.
That's a whole other point.
All those in favor?
We might need these people's help. Let's
Actually, right now for charter school, he's your largest advocate. So.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval to appoint a task force for the Celebration K-8 expansion.
So moved.
All right, and a second.
Second.
All right, discussion.
I'd be interested.
I guess what's the goal of the task force?
Yeah,
If we're having a town meeting, I guess what is your intent to do with the task force?
Wait, let me ask you this. I left a little early yesterday, but what's the goal? What are we going to do at a town meeting? We pretty much had a town meeting yesterday.
Well, but we actually are going to have all of the engaged parties in. We're going to do
More of a tabletop exercise.
Yeah, we're going to kind of one of those. These are the different options.
Isn't that what a task force is going to do?
Well, but we want to make it more public. We want to make more involved rather than just doing a task force.
Well, why don't we involve the public in the task force meeting? Because it needs to be a working task. I mean, it needs to be experts sitting down, coming up with things, because we heard a lot of, there's going to be 500 different solutions. I heard it yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's great that everybody has it. At the end of the day is we're going to need to come up with one that we work with the Celebration Company in Osceola County, and not 500.
Right.
So the quickest way to get there, in my opinion, is you have a task force, you invite the community, and then come up with a solution, because we're having experts, and certainly we get homeowner input, because some of them might even be on it, the task force, but at the end of the day is, yesterday, and I watched it on video, everybody has a different solution. And going in front of Osceola County, everybody has a different solution. And they have different reasons for doing it and stuff like that. So I think we need to engage the Celebration Company for a reasonable expectation that we're going to come up with a solution as quickly as possible, because if not, the county is going to do it, and they're going to find we're just going to be listening in circles. So I like the idea of a task force. I would keep it open. I'd report it, make sure it's advertised, make sure people show up, maybe even take comments online until then, but get work done with a bunch of experts and come up with a solution, because I don't have the answer, but we need to come up with a plan and move forward.
Quick question for you, Steve. You had asked the Celebration Company for some dates, is that correct? And you said you do have some dates, correct?
We looked at a few dates that we have available, because if we're going to invite everybody, we'll probably need all 3 rooms. We were at capacity last night.
Right.
So JR forwarded me some rooms, and I forwarded those on to Todd and TCC today to get some feedback on this.
Okay.
Now I have scheduled for tomorrow morning to just work on getting this planned and getting all the parties involved together.
Okay.
After you call the ECDD about water meters.
That's the first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
That's right.
I got you, Dave.
Water meter.
What's up, yeah?
But the question is, if it's a task force, I mean, I think the town hall meeting is getting the 3 parties together, the 2 parties with CROA together, so that they can discuss the different options that are available.
That's a town hall meeting, you think?
That was the intention of the town hall meeting, and that's what...
I mean, I think we had a town hall meeting yesterday. My fear is the Celebration Company's going to come in and we're going to just hear how they didn't deliver over the last couple of years at the end of the day.
I think we need to I think that's something that should be our role to set the leadership to explain how we want it run, and that would be, let's go through and highlight, I mean, we basically have heard just about every possible solution. I mean, I can't.
So let's put together a task force.
Well, let
and-
me answer this.
Go ahead.
Last night, the intention of last night's meeting was so that the community could talk to you guys about a unified voice going back to the school
Correct.
board, and you accomplished that goal. You were able to come up with a statement and get that to the school board.
Right.
And Todd, admittedly himself, he didn't have enough time last night to come and talk about all the different options.
Right.
So there's 3 or 4 options that everybody has a different variation on, but there are those options that are available. I think that was the intention of having a town hall meeting, was to be able to have some charts, to talk about some of the benefits, some of the negatives of the different options, and have those available. I don't think you'll ever get 100% consensus, but at least something to where it can, the community as a whole can be comfortable saying, this is something that we can get behind and support.
Isn't that, again, task force? Here's a plan for the task force, and part of it is a town hall meeting. You come up with a consensus, you report back to the community, I mean, and put up with a plan.
Yeah, I think
Usually with task force, with committees, you
Yeah.
guys have specific objectives.
That's right.
There's a resolution approved for those objectives.
And we need to
then-
come up with it, right.
Then you assign task force members. Are you at a point where you know who those task force members are going to be? And do you want to wait until next month to appoint, put a resolution in place and go? Or do you think it's best to just move forward with the town hall meeting to discuss those different options?
I think delaying a month is, just to appoint a task force is a little silly, because we're going to be behind
I
the
agree.
curve. What I guess I would love to do is to be able, we have a lot of brain power in the community that we could use to help us structure the town hall meeting with the celebration company and come up with, okay, that's great that you guys think that this is, but here's what we're thinking, and here's where we've thought as people that live and breathe this community. What I would like to see is, essentially right now, we're noticing to everyone that we're going to open up a task force, that we're going to try to use them to structure the upcoming town hall meeting, as well as be a little bit more of a go-between between all the parties to kind of directly manage them. What I would love to be able to do is, if we can gather that input and appoint a task force via proxy vote via email, as we've done similarly, which I think is allowed, then we can go ahead and do that. And I want to make it clear, just because there's a task force being appointed doesn't mean that we're shutting out communication from everyone else. It's simply we're trying to provide a structure so that we can follow that. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
And just,
How many people do you want on the task force?
Either 5 or 6.
5?
5. And how many do you want from CROA?
None.
I think
liaisons.
I think we have a liaison, yeah.
You could do what other places do, is that each board member, so you could represent, we have, 5 members, how many, we have 7 members here, right? So each person pick somebody to represent them. Task force member, could be you want to represent yourself, you could, you know what I mean, that kind of thing, but it's simple, get it done quickly, we could do it in the next week.
I get,
And if you do it, if you vote online, it just has to be unanimous. You all would have to agree. Those are the objectives that you're going to use for the task force. You're okay with all the people that are being involved.
What do folks feel the objectives of the task force should be?
I think the ultimate goal of the task force should be, what is it that we want to go forward to present to the school board and to TCC?
So to provide a recommendation to the celebration company as well as Osceola County School Board.
Correct.
Working with those
With them,
entities.
we're working with them, we need to work with
I
them.
think the first objective has got to be to work with both entities, because they are the entities that.
Sure.
But we do ultimately want a solution, come up with a solution that we feel
That the community feels is
the
best for the
community,
education of the
for
children.
the overcrowding or the school issue.
So that would be the goal of the task force.
Right.
I think some of the requirements that I would want to see the task force complete are the hosting and the organization of the town hall meeting, as well as ensure ongoing communication and collaboration with management to make sure that notices and updates are going out to the community in a timely fashion, so that the board's not delaying anything out here, that it's coming directly from them. And I don't really know what
I
else
think we
it
should
would
also
need.
have a member of the CDD, since they most likely, they have floated bonds in the past, and they may have to float bonds again.
Sure. So we're looking for maybe one or two board liaisons and we can't have, can we have two CDD liaisons?
One.
We could have one
So I
CDD
guess-
liaison.
yeah, I was-
Sunshine laws.
Yeah.
I guess, I think,
Do they
I
have
may
to
be
float the
wrong,
bonds?
based on the
I don't know
meeting
about bonds.
that CDD had, they were not in favor of floating any bonds at all.
And that was
That's
only for
incorrect.
that.
Oh, it has changed.
That's
That
correct.
it has changed?
That has changed. If the school moves to another area, it was expressed that was possibility they still may be approached with that. So they're open to being on a task force.
I think at the end of the day, the task force would be made up of residents. We can still have liaisons from CDD and the
Celebration
boards.
Company
Yeah.
And someone from the
Knoxville
school,
County School
And
Board.
and someone from the school.
Sure, why
Michael,
not include them?
or someone from the
We need
staff.
to.
Who's on it from the CDD?
Yeah.
So, Steve, Susan, you guys
Get part on it?
capture all that?
I would go with Floyd on that one.
I think we
Between
can-
both of us,
We can
probably.
certainly take a stab at a resolution.
Okay.
Send that to you all to
would be too busy
kind
to
of get
do
some
it.
consensus on, and then you guys can start identifying who you think should be appointed to this task force.
Okay, and once again, if anyone's interested, town.hall at celebrationtownhall.com.
Send your resume possibly.
Send your information in.
I mean, at the end of the day, we want
Seriously.
people.
Qualified people
Right,
that are-
right.
that are knowledgeable about the issues.
We're going to come up with a solution. We need serious people that, contribute to.
The one thing I would recommend too is ensuring that we have a representative from the K-8 school.
We said that.
Right, so, yeah,
I was thinking, when I heard school, I was thinking school district,
No,
not
I meant
local
school.
school.
Yeah,
I
Sorry,
think,
okay.
I think that's a good point. We should have somebody from the school district and make sure we have somebody from the local school.
So Steve, just so we're clear, we're looking for liaisons from CROA board. We're looking for a liaison from CDD. We're looking for a liaison from the local K-8 school, and then inviting a school board representative, whether that's Jay or whoever from school board.
Maybe even the
Yeah.
maybe even the new chairman. See if-
It may be a staff, this process got on without the school board and went with the staff. So we may want school board staff.
Well, if you have someone from the school board, you need someone from TCC.
Well, no, I definitely.
Yeah, we just-
Yeah,
yeah,
as a liaison as well.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the thing is that we're,
Everything was implied.
y'all invited, I mean, we don't necessarily need to put too much structure around that point. We're looking for their input, but, then that way we kind of have every party interested. So the motion was to appoint the task force. I assume, are we comfortable with, as we discussed, to move forward with that? Okay. Any further discussion?
Time, you think, so we'll, just want to know the process. We'll pick members, and then the chairperson, whoever we pick, will set up meetings and timing, and then report back to us, I guess, on a plan.
I'd love to see us have a loose plan by Friday.
Okay, who's
Okay,
picking all the
that's
members?
good. I mean,
Plan
We all
for the-
email in,
for the
thinking that we can
task
hash it
force
out
on
over
Friday.
email.
A plan for the task force.
Plan for the task, correct, right, yeah.
Not the whole plan.
Not the whole
but-
plan by Friday. Just the,
And before I move on, just one question. Now, when you say a CROA liaison, a CROA person can be on the task force itself?
Not usually.
I would say no. I would rather than be, like, I don't sit on the communications committee, I just liaise.
Okay.
So I would, I mean, what do you guys think?
So you don't want us on the task force?
I think
No, yeah.
our agreement, our policy with the task force doesn't allow us to do that.
They would be, they'd be bringing it back to this board anyway
Right.
for final
Okay.
approval.
I guess just the only flip side is when you look at what we did for the master planning task force, we did have board liaisons that were there
And participated. quite
and
right.
participated. So that's
Just
something.
no vote on that.
No, we did not
And
vote on
the
anything, but we were
final-
there as to
Okay.
basically observe what was going on and provide insight in some cases.
Well,
And
this
just as
all
long as-
goes along with the task force committee guideline that we had.
Pardon me?
This all goes along with our task force committee guideline.
And you only had three, because if there was four voting, then they were taking action.
Correct, and we're not doing that.
Okay, I think this is a very big step, so, I mean, I just want to make sure that's why I want to get it, and I want to get going.
You want to get it right.
That's right.
And you want to get it down.
Right. And I want to make sure the community has input and everything else and shows up to those meetings. Okay. All right.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have other...
I have strategic planning updates, if anyone has anything.
I make a motion to table that until the...
All right, so there's a motion
Until the
to
next
table
meeting.
strategic planning goes. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, any board comments?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Forward.
Our next meeting is scheduled for December 15th, which is also the same time as the school board meeting. And I would like to request that we either move our meeting as a vote could possibly take place, and I just don't want to...
I think I see what you're saying on that, and I don't disagree with you. But I do believe that the district during their, during their workshop, they said they were going to be doing a traffic study, and that wasn't coming in until January.
I know.
And they're not doing anything else until then. So I guess that's just as a heads up, that was the plan.
I just
is
know
they are
that
not-
anything can come on the agenda to vote, and...
Oh, absolutely.
I'll be at that meeting, so...
I'm just saying that that's what was communicated.
I know. We've had a lot communicated in the last week and a lot
Well,
has
and I
changed.
ended up staying later at the meeting because it ended up getting on the agenda.
So thank you.
Yeah, and we do have a workshop scheduled on the 14th. So
We can do them both.
do you want
Correct.
to do the 16th as the meeting then?
I'm okay with 16th.
I mean,
Why don't we just see if it shows up on the agenda?
And also, just one other thing, the request for records review from Laurel, she requested Thursday at 10 a.m. Is that
never do
an
that
okay
again.
time with you?
What are you doing for December 16th?
Okay, because I know
Did she email you or did she email
Yeah,
Susan?
she emailed.
Can you forward that to Susan?
We'll follow through with the
It's a
meeting.
text, you want me to forward a text?
Could you ask her to schedule? I guess so.
I've already made a formal request.
how was it-
so
how
I don't
about-
think
No, I'm
it's
just
needed
saying that,
again.
just
Eric.
to email
Yeah.
the time frame.
On the 14th,
Yeah.
do a 4 o'clock
You were...
workshop and fall right into the meeting.
One of us is fine.
Okay, so Dave's proposing a meeting, excuse me, the workshop, move it up to 4 o'clock, and then the meeting following it after that
I have a
time?
question for you.
It's a
Wait,
one-shot
wait.
deal.
On my, just a second, I need to backtrack, because on my notices from Town Hall, I have the workshop listed as the 21st, and
That's
the
gonna get
meeting
changed.
as the
I have the 21st also.
Okay,
The
so just-
workshop.
yeah.
That's what I have on my...
Okay.
Well, nobody's going to be
No,
on
I'm
that.
just,
didn't we move that up at organizational meeting?
correct, and that's,
We did. but I don't know if we
Nope.
can
This is
do
from
it.
Cindy Swisher
This is
that I have
from
on the
Cindy.
21st on
Yeah.
mine too.
Yeah, but back in our organizational meetings, we moved them up.
Because of
We
Christmas.
always do that at the Christmas time frame.
right, I'm just saying that the messages that went out may
Yeah.
not be consistent, so we need to figure out which one's which.
Yeah, I'd go, the reason why I go with the 14th is because the CDD has a meeting on the 15th also probably. So that means if we have to be there, we can at least go over if we want to.
The school board is on the 15th as well.
And then she's got the school board on the 15th, so
Is,
cover all bases.
I'm good with that.
So do it the 14th.
so moving the workshop, no matter what it says anywhere, we'll renotice. The workshop would start at 4 o'clock
On the
Yeah.
14th.
on the 14th, and then what time do we want the meeting to start? At 6:30?
Yeah.
6:30.
Okay, and then so, is that okay with staff? We have to check on room availability, I
Yeah,
assume.
I think that's just the only thing that's holding us back. I mean, I don't know how soon it's open, but if we have a workshop that night, I think prior to the workshop, but I can check tomorrow morning and then we'll just send an invite out.
Okay. We don't need to vote on that, that's just what we're asking for. So if it is available, if everyone's comfortable with that, Steve, if you can just let all of us know, and then we can notice the community as well.
Kill two birds with one stone.
All right,
Then we can have a Christmas party afterwards, get drunk.
all right, any other comments? All right, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
I can. You don't feel like reaching across
third,
me?
fourth.
I do, but... You and I want to discuss this at a later date?
Oh, town hall.